You know,
here. What's up?
I was thinking about something.
Bro?
I was thinking about what's going on.
Why would you do
on
that?
Earth, right?
It's like perfume.
In our mind?
Yeah.
How'd you do that? Right on the mic.
Why does it matter?
We'll try.
We're about to find out.
Holy shit.
Sounds healthy.
Ready. Welcome
Damn shame.
to Earth, Mind, and Matter. We said, fuck it, let's talk about albums. We said, let's talk about some movies and some fucking comics. This week in the universe, across the internet.
So what's up, Javi?
What's going on, Frankie?
You're
So I got a date tonight. So
Okay.
we gotta do this episode kind of quick.
just quick.
Yeah,
Like-
if that's all right with you.
Yeah, like a 40-minute episode or like a 20-minute episode or like a 5-minute episode.
You know, I don't want to rush it
Yeah,
because, you know,
yeah.
I'm not you.
Yeah.
I'm not, you know, let's be fair.
I don't rush
So-
shit. I take my
So,
time.
you know, but I do have a date tonight. So
Okay.
just keep that in mind.
What's Day Dem's name?
Oof. Spicy. Oh, man. There's such an exotic name. You want to hear it?
Mm-hmm.
Shassandra.
Cassandra, you talk about my fucking tea right here?
What? Why? What are you talking about?
I'm drinking a tea called Cassandra Berry. That shit is trash. Tastes like fucking the Macy section of perfume.
Did you just drink some perfume right
I
there?
think that's what it is, bro. This shit tastes like complete ass, but I'm gonna drink it anyway because I paid money for it. And there's one thing I'm gonna do.
Celibate.
I'm celibate. Yeah, I'm still not drinking. Fucking sucks, but it doesn't feel good.
For
Feel
people
healthy.
who don't know what celibacy means and they've been listening to only us,
they're just associating
They're
that.
just like, okay, I know what celibate means.
Actually, all our friends are actually celibate.
Oh yeah,
Not by choice though.
yeah.
You get me? We'll see you out there. Don't worry, we're with you. You know what I mean?
I'm
Together we
still a
stand
virgin.
strong. I'm still a virgin too, bro. I'm a virgin to many things.
But that's because you're religious. You
Yeah.
and B just don't want to
No, yeah,
disrespect the God.
Allah. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
You know what I'm trying to say?
the A double hockey sticks AH.
Assalamu alaikum. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
I said that wrong completely. I always say it wrong. Huh?
Pastrami on rye.
Pastrami on rye.
Yeah,
You like corned beef?
corned beef is alright.
It's all right. You know, I think it's one of the few times I enjoy mustard.
I'm not too crazy about mustard too, but like, can't go wrong with mustard on a hot dog.
Fuck that. You're disgusting. That shit is nasty, bro. What the hell?
Hell nah.
Out of all things, that's like a whole dose of mustard right there.
Mustard on a hot dog.
That's disgusting,
some
bro.
ketchup, some relish on there.
Nah, bro. You put mustard on a hot dog, then throw that shit straight in the trash and get yourself a real hot dog with ketchup and mayonnaise.
I haven't tried it with mayo.
Nah, I haven't put mayonnaise on it either. They say if you eat a spoonful of mayonnaise, it actually tastes good. Like, as revolting as it sounds, if you eat a spoonful of mayonnaise, it tastes real good. I
I like mayo.
But could you eat a spoonful?
I don't know. I haven't tried it.
You want to do it right now? You want to try a spoonful of mayo right now? I'm not going to do it, but you do it. You want to try it?
We'll record it after the episode
Okay.
and we'll post it on the social.
That'd be fucking disgusting. All right, a spoonful of mayo. Maybe I'll try it. I'll think about it. It'll take this episode to really. All right, so let's jump right into the new. No, I'm kidding. Fucking welcome to the show. It's February 24th of 2013.
February 24th, the day of love.
The day of 10 days after the day of love.
What?
You know what I mean?
Wait,
Cupid's retired right now, bro.
V-Day ain't today?
Mm-mm.
So what am I doing on my date today?
You're gonna take them to the city. You're gonna get some pork fried rice.
Okay.
Vegan pork fried rice for all my vegans out there. Shout out to all my vegans.
Okay.
And
What's
then
pork made out of?
Pork is gonna make a seitan.
Seitan?
Because that's how they mimic meat with seitan.
Okay.
Speaking of religion. And then you're going to take them to the piers, right? And then you want to push them in the water and save them afterwards because then you're heroic.
Yes.
That's very romantic, right? And after you take them out the water, you want to bring them to House Kitchen.
Okay.
House Kitchen, they have a lot of commodities, amenities.
Yep.
Right?
Words.
Words, right? And then you're going to bring it back here
Okay.
because we got a show to do.
Oh, you want to
understand?
have her on the show?
Yes, absolutely. They, them.
Okay.
I want to have they, them on the show.
Okay.
Super
No, I mean,
crucial.
they identify as a she. It's okay.
You sure?
Yeah. Yeah.
They identify as a she?
Yeah.
Lucas, you identify as a she? It. I identify as a So whenever you refer to me, it's like, hey, and then that's me. That's who I am. You know?
For me, as him.
As him? Him is so cisgender male. It's just cisgender. When you say hi to a cisgender male,
Like his or he's
Him? Like, hey, him. Well, if you call a cisgender man over, can you be like, hey, sis? You get me?
I mean, why not?
Right? That makes sense, right? Because it's cisgender. Huh? Pronouns? I care about pronouns. No, I'm a cis male, half trans, half Bugatti. I'm half Bugatti, yeah. You see me? You're him mix of Ferrari? I don't. Me and you don't. What's the word? Like it's like astrology signs. We don't mix. We don't align. Yeah.
What is your sign, Lucas?
Dead as his brother.
What is your sign?
I don't know. What does a Taurus act like?
Of course you act like a Taurus.
You're not a Taurus, huh? You're an Aryan. You're Aryan, like Aryan race. What are you, Javi?
I'm a Sag.
You're a Sag. That's like a sack vag. I'm a
I'm
Virgo.
Sag as shit.
You just sit. I'm a Virgo, so they say that Virgos are very complex.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna read it right now. It says they say Virgos are very complex, handsome, and perfect in every single way. I'm reading gastrointestinal tract right now. Huh? You want me to look it up? All right. Virgo description. This is how we start the show. Let's see.
All right.
Let's see. Virgo description. Let's see what it says. We're starting off with the most thrilling of things. Let's see. Very riveting.
Riveting.
All right. Let's see. They say, damn, this is mad shit. I'm gonna say, sum it up. But there's
Sum
like
it up.
somebody that has a whole website. It's astrology.com. Let's see. I'm gonna write.
I don't believe in astrology.
Okay, characteristics.
Okay.
Virgo's personality traits are derived from its receptive, feminine, or yin qualities, making the sign oriented toward contemplation and engagement with inner awareness. Alive in both a Virgo woman or Virgo man, those born with the Virgin as their rising sun or moon sign, speaking of virgins, have a diligent, adaptable, and observant energy in the core of their personality, an echo of the preparedness and utility of late summer and early fall activities. And the last thing it says is, as a mutable sign, Virgo holds the qualities of being an alchemical synthesizer, able to find relationships between seemingly disparate, but spelled with the I. Is disparate?
I don't know.
Disparate and disjointed factors. This is Mac fucking wordy for this. What are you?
I'm a Sagittarius.
Sagittarius? I just hear Sagittarius are assholes. Huh? That's what I looked up. That's like word for word what I looked up. All right. Independent and strong-willed, lying already. Sagittarius personalities are all about going off the beaten path. Sagittarius isn't afraid to step away from the pack and is a natural born leader who goes after what he or she or they or them wants, regardless of what other people think. Sagittarius is born adventurer and loves solo travel and exploration. Sagittarius also loves... You know what's crazy? So fuck this, right? So you know how we were talking on the phone with the African, spiritual healer? So crazy enough, yesterday I showed it to Beatrice, right? But earlier in the day, somebody offered me a job opportunity.
Oh yeah.
And then she was like, "What if it was the West African? That brought you luck and fortune?" And I was like, "Holy shit!" So man, Africans, man, they be onto some shit,
Maybe he's doing it, man. Black History Month and everything.
Black History Month, you're black. That's crazy, bro. I'm drinking black coffee right now.
I'm wearing black pants.
Wearing black pants. I got black socks on. Lucas has black socks on. These mics are black.
Hey, dude, we're black. We're both black.
I think so. Or African at the very least.
No, we're black.
We're black. We're black, but I'm albino.
You're albino black.
Yeah, man. I didn't say this. My Beatrice's cousin. One time he came up to me. He was like, "You speak black," and I was like, "What?" He's like, "You have a black voice." I was like, "What the fuck you saying?" And I don't know how I sound like. You know how you think you sound a certain way and everything. And I don't think he was talking about how I wasn't like using slang or whatever, to emphasize a black person. Not that you use slang for black people, but Mexicans are like, "Hey, way," or Dominicans are just always just saying nothing. So when he's told me that, I was like, "What the hell?" And yeah, so Beatrice always tells me I have a black voice now.
Hey, man, you I think about when we first started doing this show and how unused you were to listening to your voice while recording.
Yeah.
And just how you were like, I'm gonna try and have like 1 year off and 1 year on. I'm like, nah, man.
Just listen, right?
On.
Yeah. I thought it was a cool thing to do when you do a podcast. Like, you know how people have 1 year out, 1 year. I thought it was just a thing to do, the thing. You know what I mean?
But yeah, no, I mean, always hearing yourself like in a recording is always.
I mean, you listen to the episodes every single time, so I can't imagine that. Like for me, it's one and done. I'm out once. Like, you know, I listen to it every now and then, like very rarely. But it's just like I've already heard this conversation.
I mean, you know, I also do like I do my covers and stuff, and it's a lot of just like listening to myself
like to
over
you.
and over and over and over again. So like I'm used to just fucking listening to my own voice.
There's a video I saw on National Geographic a long time ago, and the way it started was this like country person talking to a woman. And she was like, "Hey, y'all, what you doing?" Blah, blah, blah. Just continuous, you know, talking and stuff like that. And then the camera zoomed out, and it was an Asian woman. And I was like, "Oh shit!" Like, and the whole point of it was saying like you can't sound a certain way. You know, I'm trying to say like if you're on the phone with somebody, you can't necessarily tell if they're black or white or Asian because of, you know, accents are everywhere. But what do you think about that? Because I feel like sometimes you can't be on the phone with some people and you're like, oh, this is a white person or a black person or like an Asian person, this and that. Maybe not all the time. Like I wouldn't say it would be 100% correct rate. But there are sometimes you're like, oh, this motherfucker is Asian or this motherfucker is, you know, Dominican.
I mean, I remember you did mention that in like one of our first episodes.
Yeah, like way back.
I remember that specifically because my ex like brought it up and she was like, but like people down south are all gonna sound like that.
Yeah.
And
true.
I was like, that is true. So I like, you know, it also does just come to like where you're raised. Like, like
and what you're exposed to.
Even Reggie Snow. What was he, Scottish or Irish?
Irish. Oh, same shit.
Like being like being Irish but also being black. It's like it's not necessarily the most common thing to hear of.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, you're always gonna have those outliers that just make things a little difficult for you to figure out like what kind of race they might be. But it is a thing. Like even as I call patients every day to confirm their appointments, sometimes they don't have pictures in their charts. So all I have is their name.
Hey y'all, how you doing?
And so like all I have is their name and like the fact that they're a guy or a girl. And from there it's just like all I can tell it's pretty easy sometimes because sometimes they have a super Hispanic name and I'm just like, this motherfucker speaks Spanish. Like they'll be
like Diego Maradona, la Castillo,
Diego Maradona de la Pacasela, and I'm just like,
There's a disease where you can wake up out of nowhere. Like you don't necessarily have to be hit in the head or anything, but you can wake up one day and just develop a completely different accent. So there's like, it's not so rare, but it's definitely uncommon. Where like there's a video of an Asian person who woke up and she speaks with a complete Irish accent now. Yeah, it's crazy. And then there's another lady who's white who she developed a completely Asian accent. So.
Oh yeah, did you see that? Austin, did I send that to you?
No,
Austin Butler says that he's been stuck with the Elvis voice.
You know, like hey, what's up? How you doing?
Yeah, he's just like. He just hasn't been able to like cut it out of his system.
Really?
Yeah.
I bet you he's bullshitting. I think he's just a real big fan of Elvis. But the white lady, she got a big Asian accent. So whenever she goes out to like Chinatown or something, like she talking like this. I don't know how Asian, like, you know how I don't want to do an Asian accent because I just can't pinpoint it right now. Like hello, you know, like that type of shit. Honestly, I might be wrong because she's actually like the disease is that you actually have a real Asian accent. Like it's fully blown out. Like if you've been talking to your whole life.
Yeah.
And people would think she's being offensive, but she's like, bro, like I dead ass have a disease. And it's crazy. The heroic thing was completely uncalled for. I'm just saying, my bad, Asians.
We said what we said. Stealing that show's name.
Oh yeah, shout out to this We Said What We Said podcast. Even though we have no idea what they talk about, who they are and where they come from. But shout out to them.
But you know, they got Spotify money, so you know.
Oh, they're like big?
I mean, they got an ad on Spotify.
They ain't as big as us. They probably are. I mean, more than likely.
But you know, I you know, even thinking about like getting big and shit like that, we do have some pretty exciting stuff lined up.
We definitely do. Like, you know, Patrick, shout out to you, Patrick, if you're listening. I know you are because he's been hitting us up.
Patrick with a Y.
Patrick with a Y, who lives in LA. Old friend of mine. I know with a Y. And he's been saying that we constantly are saying that we have big things on the way and big news. And he's like, yo, what's the news? Like, you keep saying you have big news. And I was like, I don't even know what the fuck we're talking about. I have no idea what we're referencing at all. I just think we just keep saying that. But I guess we just got big episodes coming up in the future and new ideas, promotions and stuff like that. It's just,
you know, when I say we got big things lined up, you have to remember it's just February.
Yeah, you're right.
We have a whole year. So
we've only been doing the show for a year.
Yeah, so when I say we got big things lined up, some things are going to take longer than others. Some things are going to be right around the corner.
They might not ever happen.
Some things might not ever happen.
We might die tomorrow.
Lightning might strike my big toe, and I might have to go to the hospital to get my appendix removed.
I might go to jail. You know?
It happens.
It happens, bro. But at the end of the day, we tried. We tried our hardest to just be progressive. Be progressive. You know what I'm talking about?
I think it works when I say that we got shit lined up for you guys. If Patrick's like, what is it?
Yeah,
what is it?
Well, shout out to Patrick. And what are we doing today, Holly? What the fuck are we doing today?
My friend, as always, as we do, we are talking about what's going on in the earth.
In our minds.
And this is why it matters.
This Earth Might Matter. It's a Friday. Even though my voice is talking like it's a Monday, but trust me, it's a Friday. It's a fucking Friday.
With that cold weather, it's definitely feeling some Garfield vibes out there.
Fucking trash out there. But we got a show lined up for you. A bunch of people just died in, what is it, Turkey or Syria?
Yes.
What is it?
Turkey.
Yeah. Turkey. Oops. That's just really sad. That's like 40,000 people that died. It's really sad. I only heard a couple of things. I haven't really kept up with it. Not that it's not major news and we shouldn't be addressing it. I just think a lot of people have heard about it, so it's not going to be one of the topics I talk about. But I heard two things from it. One, they found the cat in the midst of the destruction.
Oh, yeah?
And now the cat won't leave the guy's side, the guy who found it. That was pretty cool news. They found $2 million in cash, which is pretty interesting. Like they found it buried in the thing. What do you think they're going to do with that? You think they're going to find the rightful owner if they're not dead and like bring it to their family if they are?
I doubt it.
Or like just give it to the disaster relief?
Probably to the relief.
It's kind of trash, you know. And then I saw this one video, it was very heartfelt, where some dad was found like shielding their child, and the dad died, but the child survived. So they pulled the child out of the grubble and everything. That was pretty sad. I mean, honestly speaking, when I first heard of that earthquake, it was intense, you know. But I couldn't believe that it rose to like 48,000. Yeah. And I think on the way to the recovery, they had another earthquake, which is just fucking crazy, bro.
Yeah.
And so not shout out, but like you know,
shout out to that earthquake.
Hearts out to Turkey and stuff like that, because that shit must not be easy to deal with. I mean, goddamn. And then I also heard Harvey Weinstein and R. Kelly, the big two, man, the big
heroes.
Yeah, the biggest guys on the planet right now. Fucking, I didn't know. So the last charge for Harvey Weinstein, I think he got 12 or 16 years more in prison. But I read a little into it just because, you know, he's already going to be in jail for so long. Not that what he did wasn't disgusting, but he raped a woman somewhere in some state. Like that's what the next charge was, that he had raped somebody. I think he had also sexually assaulted Governor Newsom's like wife.
Oh.
Yeah, you know Newsom, right? The California governor.
Oh, that's a California governor?
Yeah, so his wife, I think she was also a part of the whole allegations and everything.
Okay.
But in Utah, there was like 94 women who went to go, how can I say, like accuse his doctor of sexual assault. And one of them was saying that he had like performed, you know, doctor things on her. And he had stuck his fingers in her vagina, like felt up her breast and like entered her rectum, like her asshole, you know. And apparently in Utah it's real difficult to like sue for that because they just label it as, you have to bring that up with the medical board. It can't really be ruled as sexual assault. And so there's 94 women and out there. That's fucking crazy, man.
Wow.
Yeah. So actually, let me look up this guy's name for anybody that's interested.
Harvey Weinstein.
Javi Martinez. That was his time in Utah. It's coming right here. It's like Doctor something. Well, definitely Doctor. Just some random stranger.
Doctor.
Dr. David Broadbent. Broadbent spelled Broadbent. Yeah, but there's 94 women that had just basically, you know, have done what he's done dirty. And it's crazy. And R. Kelly, I didn't read about, but that motherfucker's just going down, man. He just bro, that motherfucker pees on people. Huh? Nah, bro. I mean, R. Kelly's an innocent man. He's an innocent man.
Did I ever tell you?
He's a man of God.
I honestly can't remember if I told you or not, but when I was in Cali, we went to a karaoke bar, and when I was flipping through the book that they had of all the songs they had, they cross out all the R. Kelly songs.
Like they like with a pen cross it out?
Yeah, I'll show you the picture.
Damn, bro. He has some bangers though.
That's what someone wrote on the paper.
Oh, they wrote he has some bangers?
Yeah, I'll show you right now.
It was me.
Hold on,
it was me who flew to LA to do that shit and everything.
Yeah, people are like, I get it. I get it. Something some of the best songs.
I believe I can fly.
I get it, but sucks. Some of the best songs.
I believe someone I wrote can for pedophiles, touch the sky.
But yeah,
I think about it every night and day. Spread my wings and fly away. That's R. Kelly, bro. R. Kelly wrote that shit down on a piece of paper and sung that shit. But now he's in jail. So his song is in Space Jam. And, I don't know. Hey Siri, how old is R. Kelly? I'm about to find out just for you. He's 56. He's gonna be in prison for the rest of life, probably. More than likely.
I did see for the Harvey Weinstein thing that he's gonna be serving like two of his sentences like at the same time.
Yeah.
Which just kind of like I don't understand why they're doing that.
Like they're gonna be back to back. So if it's like 10-10, it'll be.
No, it's not back to back. Like he's gonna be serving them at the same time. So like
half of his body in one prison, half of his body in another prison.
Yeah, kind of. Where it's just like he has, I think it was like a 16-year sentence, and then another was an 18-year sentence or something like that.
Yeah,
and that he was going to be serving both of them simultaneously.
That's stupid. What the fuck?
Exactly.
Yeah, but he's also going to get like 12 more years. I think he has 23 years also, but he's for sure going to die in prison. But there's no way he isn't. I mean, that's what the newspaper said, so I'm gonna just go on and believe it. But I mean, no, it's a lot of terrible things that he did, and it's I mean, he has a lot of good movies that he produced and everything. So it's very. I mean, I don't know if we've covered one of his movies so far. Honestly speaking, I know he doesn't direct them. I know he's like under the company of his name and shit like that.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if we have covered any Weinstein Company movies.
Let's see. Let's fucking figure it out. I mean, they can't even give me a list. God damn it.
I think Letterboxd will like separates like filmmakers by producer and director and stuff like that.
Nah, it's because I use fucking DuckDuckGo.
Oh.
And I try to use it, but honestly speaking, man, that shit is complete trash. Like it's good for like what's it called? The search engine, like if you want to hide be secrecy and stuff, but I always end up going to Google. Man, this guy, I mean, the Weinstein Company has done a lot of movies. I'll name a couple that you'll probably know. The Hateful Eight. The Founder, the McDonald's movie. Burnt with what's his name, Bradley Cooper.
I don't know. Oh no? Wait. Oh, that's the one where he's a chef.
Yeah. I just heard about it recently.
That movie looks like
kind of
so
dumb, right? Yeah. I mean, it's Bradley Cooper, so of course it is. Paddington, the bear, the Mandela movie. They did Django.
Did you know that Paddington 2 is one of the best rated movies of all time?
Bro, the first one looks like I'll cry during it. It looks pretty like pleasant, honestly speaking. We gotta check it out one day.
Like literally Paddington 2 has like a 99% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's crazy. That's fucking crazy. What about that movie that came out? I don't know if you ever saw about the little shell.
Marcel, the little
was
the shell with
movie?
shoes on.
Yeah.
I never got to see it, but it's on streaming now.
You hyped it up OD, bro. You were like, I'm gonna go watch that shit. But it was fucking.
Oh shit.
It looked interesting. The Weinstein Company also did Spy Kids. They did, let's see, Halloween 2, Piranha. I haven't watched that movie in mad long. I never
watched it.
Piranha's a good movie. Zack and Miri make a porno, superhero movie. They've also made Death Proof. I mean, all the Tarantino movies, I'm assuming. Scary Movie 4, Venom. Let's see. Damn, there's a lot of fucking Kill Bill. I know I keep saying Gangs of New York. Let me go down the list. These are all Weinstein movies. Jackie Brown, great movie. Another Tarantino movie. Let's see. Fucking yeah. I mean, a whole bunch. There's a whole bunch of movies that under the Weinstein Company. So it's pretty crazy. Lion with the guy from I don't know. I don't want to be mistaken. No, fuck it. I'm not gonna say it. I saw Lion in the theater though. I had a egg and cheese with tomato and lettuce that day.
Which one is Lion?
Lion is a movie. It's actually a real good movie.
Is that the one with Idris Elba?
Nah, it's about like 5-year-old Saru gets lost on a train which takes him thousands of miles across India away from home and family. Saru must learn to survive alone in Kolkata before ultimately being adopted by an Australian couple 25 years later, armed with only a handful of memories. He just, this guy, you know who this guy is. This brown guy. You know who he is? Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was in The Green Knight.
There we go. What's The Green Knight?
Oh, you haven't seen Green Knight?
No idea what the fuck that is. This guy, you look nothing like this motherfucker, bro. What? This motherfucker looks like more like Jesus Christ than you. That's the brown. I mean, Jesus Christ is probably.
I think his name is Alex Jones. No, not Alex Jones.
Alex Jones, bro.
I think his name is Alex something.
This guy right here? You think you look like Jesus? You look like more like the Mona Lisa.
Bro, I could possibly look like Jesus, bro.
Honestly, me too.
I think Jesus could have looked like Link.
His name is Dev Patel. Yeah, but
yeah, he was in The Green Knight. I think he was also in Hereditary.
Oh really? No, that's some other guy. That's some other the son, right?
Yeah.
Nah, that's definitely not him.
Then if it isn't, then
You just think all brown people look alike.
If it isn't, then that actor's name is Alex something.
Alex Smith. That's a football player.
I'm confused.
Let's see, Hereditary. I'm gonna tell you right now, just so we could be sure. Let's see. Nah, Alex Wolff.
Alex Wolff. Okay.
There we go. That's a good movie though. Hereditary is definitely a great movie.
Hell yeah. But yeah, Green Knight is just it's a retelling of one of the stories of the Round Table of Arthur's Round Table, about the Green Knight, and it's just it's an old myth. There's like an original like myth that you can read of it, and so the movie is just a retelling of it.
What is it, like a murder?
No, it's not a murder. It's kind of like the premise of it is just that this guy has to sort of go out and venture to kill this knight that they call the Green Knight, and
so he wants to murder the Green Knight.
Yes, and like the Green Knight is kind of like a bad guy and stuff, and so he's supposed to be like the hero that's gonna save the day and stuff, and
the hero they deserve.
Yeah, and so that's the whole story.
Got you.
I've never read the original myth. People say that it's very different. I'm not surprised, obviously, but the movie was really good.
Where do you go to read a myth? Just online?
I guess so. Yeah.
Right? You just go online. You don't really seek out myth. I mean, I guess a book.
Yeah,
too.
I guess you could go to the library too.
I guess if you're fucking nerdy, you know what I mean? Fuck yeah. All right, so I got 3 topics for you today. I got some quick topics, but pretty much it was just R. Kelly and Harvey Weinstein and stuff. I had a couple, but I just have no idea where they are. I could look through my screenshots if you want to occupy the mic real quick and say some shit to the people.
I mean, I'll just say that like in terms of like another quickie, I'll pull up my information real quick. But Bobby Kotick, if you remember him, the CEO of Activision Blizzard.
Yeah.
He actually had some interesting things to say because everyone is really hesitant about Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard now.
Yeah.
Like everyone, meaning like the governments and stuff like that, world governments are all like, oh, we don't know about this actually, because Sony did a lot of crying about it. And like, hey guys, this would be like so bad for like the video game industry if they bought Activision Blizzard. Like think about Call of Duty. And it's just like Microsoft has like said over and over and over again, like we're not gonna make Call of Duty exclusive. We're not gonna do that. And Sony's like, no, it's the end of the world. It's the end of the world. They're gonna take up all the competition.
We want money, you know.
And it's just that whole thing's been going on back and forth. So Bobby Kotick kind of actually said something where I was like, damn, I have to give you some respect for that.
That's the one with the back. We talked about it in I forget what episode.
I think it was episode 3.
Episode 3? Get the fuck out of here. 3?
I think so.
I don't think so. I thought it was in double digits.
Nah, because it was a really early episode, and I think it's one of our top episodes that people have listened to.
Well, it was the whole thing where the company was basically having like a sexist like work environment, right? Like all that stuff. And what do you say?
I don't have the exact quote, but basically, he kind of said it was episode 3.
Yeah, which was crazy.
But because like he was on the news and people were just asking him like, oh, like what do you think of all these governments trying to basically block the acquisition happening and stuff? And he just kind of said, I think a lot of these people that work in these spaces don't necessarily understand how our industry works, how video games work. A lot of these people are still learning like how our industry like works at all.
Yeah.
And so for a lot of these government people, he just said that it's brand new to them, and so for them to be hesitant like makes sense, but it's also kind of like, guys, like you also don't know what you're talking about in all respect, that they don't know what they're talking about.
I don't know, that sounds kind of like now I want to say Donald Trumpish, but that's also kind of just like, hey, stay out the conversation. I mean, what if you're a consumer?
They're not telling them to stay out of the conversation. Yeah. He's just saying that, like,
I mean, if I'm having a conversation with somebody and you try to give your input and I'm like, hey, bro, you don't know what you're talking about. It's kind of like saying, get the fuck out of the conversation. You have no idea how to participate within it, you know?
I mean, they like that's what he had to say.
Yeah,
like Microsoft as a whole has been definitely a lot more formal. And again, that wasn't a direct quote. I don't know what.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Exactly.
Paraphrased.
So, but yeah, I just thought that was pretty interesting, where I just had to kind of be like, okay, like, some respect to that, because the video game industry and laws are becoming is a growing relationship. Like the fact that we have like people are trying to establish laws around gambling in terms of loot boxes and shit like that in video games and all that stuff. So it's still early days for those kinds of things of government getting involved in video games. So there's going to be fumbles. We're going to have missteps and things like that. But I just thought that was interesting.
I saw one thing with Mexico where I don't have any details on it, but NPR is a great source of quick information, NPR and like Neanderthal. And it says this. It says Mexico's former public security head is convicted in the U.S. of taking cartel bribes. So Mexico's former public security secretary, Genaro Garcia Luna, has been found guilty of drug trafficking. He is the highest ranking Mexican official ever to be tried in the United States. He stood accused of taking millions of dollars in bribes from the very drug cartels he was supposed to be cracking down on.
Damn.
Some crazy shit, man. So I mean, of course, a lot of people think Mexico, they think, cartel or like scared or this and that. And it has that reputation of being so. But it's wild, man, because like you can't trust in the politics. And I know the president in Mexico right now, let me look up his name. He's real big on trying to stop corruption. Huh?
Mr. President.
Mr. President, yeah. And have you heard about El Chapo and him trying to contact the president of Mexico?
Mm-mm.
So basically, he doesn't like you here in the U.S. at all. He thinks he's being treated unfairly. What's his name? Hold on. How come they don't say his name here? I looked up. Oh no, Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador. I think so. Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's the president. Yeah, it's this guy right here. Well, and his big thing is cracking down on corruption.
Damn, he look kind of thick.
He's pretty thick. And thick with corruption. And basically, El Chapo is saying that he's getting unfair treatment in the U.S. and that he wrote a letter to the president himself. The president himself to like read it and try to get him at least to be in prison in Mexico, which, being that he broke out of prison already like 3 times, probably not the best idea, but the president said that he'd read it at the very least, but it's like, damn, bro. And, it's because of TV today, like Narcos and stuff like that. It's real easy to, popularize or kind of like make El Chapo seem like a cool person, but that was a bad person, and I don't know if you ever seen the footage of him getting to the United States.
No, I haven't.
You've never seen the footage? It's real crazy, man. I'm gonna show you right now, but basically the footage is him landing here, and then he's being brought into like the airport, and his eyes, man, it's crazy. Like it's the first time you can see fear in his eyes.
He's like, oh my god, where the fuck am I?
He's like, ay ay ay. And let me show you right now. Hold on. So if you look right here, you don't gotta put in the episode.
He showed me the wrong video. He showed me the goddamn wrong video.
All right, so I just showed Javi the video of El Chapo arriving to the U.S. and it's crazy. Actually, when they brought him here to the U.S., I think he landed in New York City, but they shut down they shut down the Brooklyn Bridge because he was on it. Like they were transporting him, stuff like that. But if you see his eyes, man, that's a guy who's probably seen like death and just some crazy stuff. But it looks like he's fucking just in fear for his life.
He's probably cut some dicks off, and right now his
probably,
dick is like shriveling up the side of him.
You know what a Colombian necktie is? No, it's when
is that when you wrap a dick around someone's neck and choke them out?
Yeah, only if your name's Javi Martinez. No, but it's when they slit your throat and they pull your tongue out your throat. Yeah, it's a Colombian necktie. That's a cartel thing and everything. It's crazy. It's real stuff. And man, I mean, I've seen those videos, the cartel members like chopping off people's heads and stuff like that and everything, and real wild stuff, man. So idolizing was the word. Idolizing, like, bad figures such as this guy and everything. But it's weird, man. That's fucking some crazy shit right there. So I don't know how he feels, but fuck that guy. You know what I'm trying to say? Because that shit is crazy. And then the last thing about him is that when his son got arrested, did you hear about that? The whole shootout. Damn, bro, what the fuck? What you just
shootout? Yeah. Was it like outside of a mall or something?
I don't know about that, but when his son got arrested, the police were transporting him to a prison, and the cartel just got in this big shootout with the Mexican military or police, and like so many people died and stuff like that. It was just an all-out brawl shooting until they released them back, and the police basically ended up giving back the son to the cartel. That's how crazy it is over there. Also in Mexico, when there was a very big like protest, like a feminist protest, I think there was a big shooting there too. And it's some crazy shit. And I don't just mean to say that. I mean, there are a lot of great things about Mexico too, for sure. It's just real crazy stuff how, man, all that traces back from, corruption and all this like machismo stuff and everything. And it's some real crazy shit. Like, I guess if we had our show in Mexico, we'd have the most news to talk about. US is nothing compared to us, but
this week Manuel got stabbed.
Which one? All of them.
For what? Who knows?
Yeah, man. But yeah, of course, there's been a bunch of shootings in the U.S. There was one recently that was targeting Hispanics, I think in Texas or probably some country like that. And yeah, man, just some real upsetting news all over the place. But that's what our whole podcast is based off. Sadness I mean, sometimes we have positive news, like the 9-year-old from last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bitch ass motherfucker.
I think we have learned to sort of like maybe not talk about such huge topics like that.
Of course,
Because
yeah.
like we have done it before in the past, but
Yeah.
you know, numbers speak. You
Yeah.
guys don't really want
I mean,
to hear
and
that
they're
stuff.
oversaturated and stuff like that. You
Yeah.
know, like there's way too many opinions on there. But I think also it's important to cover it at times because, you know, if we really do a thorough, you know, study on it and like really try to get all the facts together, I think in today's climate, the problem is that headlines kind of just, people think they know everything because of a headline, you know, and there's a lot of details in there that, you know, are really crucial. My topics today are not big news.
Fucking drowning over here.
That's the T, bro.
Waterboarding.
But one of the biggest things happening right now is Malcolm X's family suing the police department. Have you heard about that?
No,
Bro, do you even look at the news, bro?
not really.
No, I'm kidding. From what I know, is that Malcolm X's family is suing the police department for how they mishandled the assassination of the father. So the daughter and a bunch of other people, they're suing the police department, the government, and like 2 other agencies because of how they handled the assassination of Malcolm X. It's crazy. And Black History Month.
You know what?
Mm-hmm.
I just learned something today.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to pull up her name.
Okay.
Let me see if I remember her name.
Mm-hmm. What do you think their name is?
Mackenzie.
Mackenzie? What kind of fucking name is that? No, I'm kidding. It's a nice name. Any Mackenzie listening out there? Sound like Mackenzie, just less.
God damn it.
I try to fill the dead air.
Henrietta Lacks.
Henrietta Lacks, who's that?
So Henrietta Lacks, I learned this today because my job was celebrating. What?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, bro.
Blah, 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 blah,
Blah,
blah.
blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm.
But my job was celebrating Black History Month today. And
Today was your job to celebrate Black History Month?
for the first half of the day, yeah, we.
Oh, you just celebrated the first half of the day, not the whole month.
Nah, not the whole month, just the first half of the day.
Just 6 hours.
2 hours.
2 hours.
But
Okay.
yeah, there were like presentations and stuff, and my one coworker told us about this Henrietta Lacks lady from the 50s that she's a Black woman, and
That's it.
she went to doctors. She's from Maryland. She went to doctors, and apparently back then they didn't have to ask for consent or to let you know that they would experiment on your cells. So doctors back then during the 50s and stuff would take like sample cells of patients and experiment on them after the patients are gone.
Really?
And what they found out about Henrietta Lacks is that her cells, they kept regrowing. They never died. And
Oh shit.
they dubbed her the immortal woman just because her cells kept regenerating no matter what.
Is she dead now?
She's dead now.
They were wrong.
But she died at like 31, so she didn't even live a long life, which
Oh, damn.
sucks.
That does
But like they use her cells to find vaccines for a bunch of like diseases and
Wow,
stuff like
that's
that,
amazing.
like measles and
Yeah,
things
yeah.
like that.
They've never found anybody else with regenerative cells.
Not as strong as hers.
That's
They're
crazy.
still regenerating today. They're still like her cells are still alive.
So I guess
today.
the unethical use of someone's cells led to
So-
something great.
So
Yeah.
there's a whole thing now where apparently the family is trying to get reparations
Okay.
for that situation.
Yeah.
They got the lawyer who covered the George Floyd murder. So who knows what happened?
That's
what's gonna happen
interesting.
with that, but,
I mean, I think they should get something. You know what I'm trying to say, or a lot of things, because literally it's her body.
yeah.
But it's interesting how that works. I still wonder when reparations will take, honestly, like effect and this and that, or like, be brought into effect is a better way to phrase it. Because, I mean, what do you think about reparations? Like, and not just like, I think I'm for it or this and that. Like, how do you think it should be handled and distributed if it was to arise, or if you're not for it at all?
I don't know. I've never looked too much into reparations to have too much of a educated like discussion of like I think it should be distributed this way or that way. All I really can say is just kind of like I'm honestly not even sure if we should do reparations, but I'm not Black, so who am I to say?
I mean, you have I think that's the whole thing. Like, you have an opinion.
No, of
on
course.
It, like,
of course.
I don't think that comes along with the opinion.
That's just like
of
my
it.
my inner monologue of like how I feel about this, because why I haven't necessarily put too much thought to it, just because like obviously I can have my opinion. It's just I guess I haven't put too much thought into it because it doesn't affect me directly.
Technically, you are black.
Yeah, I'm super black actually.
No, like literally, like, statistically speaking.
I'm like the blackest person in the room.
No, like you did a 23andMe shit. You're actually black. You know what I mean? So you can't. I mean, and what? Being black. Reparations. So like my question was like with reparations, whether you are for it or against it, and if so, like say you are for it, like how do you think it should be distributed in terms of or giving black people money, like anybody, and to be more specific, huh? Well, that's what it is. So Lucas is saying only black people, but that's what I think too. Because obviously anybody who's been scrutinized by the government or something like that, right? Of different. That's the whole thing. Yeah. Like I don't know any. I think obviously slavery is the biggest reason why reparations is the biggest talk of it all. And for sure it's a huge flaw of the hugest flaw of the American history. It's the worst. But I think that's what it is also. I wonder how many people think like, oh, where's my money then? Like, of the Japanese when they were put in little concentration camps when, Pearl Harbor after that, or like Mexicans and this and that. I mean, I don't know. I think Mexicans have endured, but what about like with Texas and the war and stuff like that? I don't know. I know those things aren't anywhere as near as bad as literally slavery, like literally bringing people from different countries on boats, to treat them less than what they are. Like, but many people have that opinion and stuff. Like, is it only black people? And I mean, I think for sure that's the priority, But I think you're able to speak on it, And I mean, if you were to let only black people decide on reparations, clearly they would say yeah, But the economy is made up of.
Would they though? Because like I've met plenty of black people who don't really agree with reparations, and because it also comes back to like this idea of not wanting to take like a handout from the government. Like I wouldn't call. I mean, that's all interpretation, though. No, of course. Yeah. And then there are other people who don't want to have to hear it from like other people that they got reparations. Like I saw. Well, it's like what's it called? EBT and what's it called? Food stamps, welfare and stuff like that. Yeah, yeah. Like those aren't the same thing, but they would be stereotyped the same way. Yeah, like there's like some like I've seen some black people don't want to deal with the possible stigma that could come with reparations. Yeah, I mean for sure. So there's even in like the first episode of the Watchmen show on HBO, amazing fucking show. Shit is trash. But it takes place like in the future or something. So at this point in time in the future, like reparations have happened for black people. Yeah, and so the main character, she opens up a shop with her reparations money and like she's in a classroom talking about like her job and stuff, and one of the kids, a white kid, is like, oh, but you bought that shop with like your reparation money and stuff, and like try to like downplay it. So it's like things like that could happen if reparations did come out. So look at this. In the 20th century, the country issued reparations for Japanese American internment, native land seizures, massacres, and police brutality. And then it says, will slavery be next? And then when you think of Native Americans and stuff like that too. So, I mean, it has happened before. Reparations have happened in the past. And that's why the Japanese are so damn wealthy. No, I'm kidding. I think we should just give the country back to the Native Americans. I think we should just all move back to Europe. Yeah, you could do that. You could do that. Oh, yeah, because I'm Inuit. Oh, yeah. Oh, huh? I'm Mexican too. Yeah, I'm Inuit and Mexican. That's what I'm saying, bro. Mexicans have a lot of land, but back to. I mean, there is no one's. It all belongs to Harvey Weinstein. You know what I'm trying to say? So, how can I say? No, but when it comes down to reparations for black people, I understand all that stuff too, like to an extent. I don't understand the full conversation. I remember I tuned in to one, like it was like one online court thing because COVID was still going on, and they were discussing reparations in the country. And there was this one guy who said, and you're right, not all black people, and I shouldn't have said that all black people would be for reparations. I just think also it being misinterpreted and like adding that baggage that really isn't the point of it, because I think like just like the lady with the cells, like it's like paying your dues to somebody who really contributed to society without a choice, I mean, I don't know how was it harmful to her when they took her cells, or was it just like a swab? They did it to like everyone. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, like it didn't hurt. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, ultimately, what I'm trying to say is that with the court,
and the discussion they were having, they were like, okay, if we do, give reparations, who gets them? Is it everybody that's black, or is it just the people that were truly affected by slavery? Meaning, those that have like historic ties to the families that were enslaved by the white people. Like how does that work?
Yeah,
There be people that just moved here.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, like, there could be like people from different, countries and stuff like that move, black people from different countries that never have family here.
It's a difficult conversation. Yeah. It's just like,
what do you think about that point though? Like, should it be like, if you're black in America, should you get reparations, or if you've been affected because of your family tree of slavery, should you get reparations?
Well, I would hope that's like it'd be the latter. I would hope that like that would be more of the intent.
Yeah, like those affected truly by slavery and stuff.
Yeah. So it's like I don't know the conversation too well, but I think that's what reasoning.
What do you think
is.
though? What do you think?
No,
what's your opinion?
No, I'm saying it, motherfucker.
Okay, no, because you keep saying like I think. What does Javi think?
Let me finish. I just
my bad, bro. Here's your reparations. Hold on, just throw some nickels at you.
He's making it hail. But no, I just. I just generally don't have much of an opinion of whether or not they should get reparations or not. I just think that if it does happen, it should stem from historical ties of oppression, such as slavery and things like that.
But then that's hard to pinpoint down.
It's not that hard.
I mean, I think it'd be kind of hard to pinpoint. Yeah, and also like people, some people. Yeah, Lucas said it's like hard to pinpoint who actually was affected by slavery, and I agree, because some of the names that are given and stuff like that, they're given like, that's why a lot of black people have like names like John, like not, I don't know about John, but like American names, realistically they aren't.
Yeah, but there's also like plenty of like black people with families that like have passed down their stories of and things.
Yeah,
like
but that's
that.
a limit.
More searching is evidence than stories.
Yeah, because
but they can take that to court and like.
That's that
people.
You can't just bring stories to court. I think you have to have actual proof.
I know,
and some people just died.
Yeah, but who's to say these families don't have the evidence? Who's to say they don't have the pictures? I mean, and stuff like that.
It'd be harder to say that everybody has the evidence.
Yes.
That'd be.
I'm saying like the people who are like you're talking about like they might have evidence. Of course, there's going to be families that have evidence. I'm talking about the people who don't, because there's a lot of shit that the government covers up. And like they don't want people to know, especially us. We don't know how it was back then, like first experience. You know what I'm saying? And there's so much like families that have been like abolished or like fucked up by the government, and they just try to hide it off because at the time that was just the thing to do. That's what I'm saying. It's hard to pinpoint like almost every family that was like affected.
I just don't think it'd be like. I think we'd get a majority.
I don't think so. I don't think majority. I think maybe barely half. Yeah, I think it'd be very difficult to trace back.
I'm not even thinking like 80%. I'm saying like at least like 65%.
That's still not 100% though. That's where the flaw comes in.
No,
you know what I mean?
Obviously, I'm not justifying it.
Get out of here, Javi. No, I'm kidding.
You asked for my opinion.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
With families of evidence, I'll probably say probably less than half.
Yeah, I for sure think less than half. 40, yeah, because
well, color me optimistic.
Let's see. I'm gonna Google it. How many black people in America are affected by slavery?
Like black, like people or minorities.
There's actually not that much black people in the U.S. Is like the majority of people is still white people, and I think the second next is Latinos, because they're soon to be the majority. But black people the population isn't as huge. And I'm not saying that off a whim. Like that's actually true. Let's see.
They did.
Minorities, low income families.
I mean, yeah, a good joke that I always hear that in LA they say that they have a census of the amount of people they have, but they don't count all the undocumented Mexicans or like any Hispanics.
Homeless people on the streets. The thing of all the families that have been homeless for generations, they're not documented. They say they were born in the streets, no hospital.
Homeless for generations, damn.
Welcome to the reparations episode.
What?
Generational wealth.
Generational wealth. I'm trying to see how much people have been affected by slavery in America. Let's see. Because of slavery, it's often difficult for them to trace their ancestry prior to the 1870 census. Records of the enslaved are often handwritten, poorly maintained, or simply lost over time. In light of this, the survey asks Black Americans to share what they know of their family and ancestral histories It also asks Black Americans about the ways they learn about their family stories and backgrounds. I'm gonna just read two more paragraphs. I don't want to read too much. Black Americans were asked if they had done any of the following to learn about their family history: speaking to their relatives, conducting research online, or using a mail-in DNA service such as Ancestry DNA or 23andMe. Overall, 43% of Black adults used at least one of these methods. 25% used two, 11% used all three, and 22% did not use any. Black immigrants, 31%, were about as likely a U.S.-born Black adults, 36%, to have done two or more. Okay, whatever. They're just saying what they did. We should really look into this and just talk about it because this is pretty interesting. But at the end of the day, I'm the same way. I don't really have a direct answer on how reparations should be handled because I think it's a very complicated way to handle in itself. I just think that when it comes to the additional things of like, oh, I don't want a handout, I don't want this and that. I just think you have to always look back at, you know, even when you look at communities that do poorly in terms of education, a lot of it stems back from like a broken home and this and that, or like not having both parents in the house, or drugs, or this and that, which is, you know, happens a lot in different neighborhoods and different ethnicities, but also different races. And Black people are obviously a big factor in that, given America, you know? And so I think when you come down to it, like generational wealth, like he said, like the people who are, you know, more likely to thrive today are white people, you know, and because they, you know, their history calls for it, not all of them and this and that. But I just think that, you know, could your life have been flawed because you never had a good chance to start with? You know, did the government put crack in the Black communities? I think so. Is that why the DA sprouted? I believe so. But that's a different conversation. Yeah. That's a whole conspiracy and shit like that. But it's pretty much true. Yeah, honestly speaking. But yeah.
Didn't they teach us that in school?
No, that's definitely something they don't teach at all. They would, yeah. That's something I've been hearing about. It's just something that makes sense.
They don't, like, they
Yeah.
tell us in school, and they don't. And
Yeah.
They do tell us. They tell us in a very obscure way that shows that like Americans.
There's so much laws that were so fucked up in regards to like crack and heroin, where I remember one thing that I read in like Carl Hart's book, The Drug Use for Adults. It's a real good book, man. I gotta finish that shit because I'm slacking. But one of the things was this real harsh law under the name of some white guy, I'm assuming. And basically, like, if you were caught with crack, even if it was a first-time offense, you would get 25 years to life automatically, even like a gram. And they would have rehabilitation centers in the city, you know? And, you know, at first you would get to go inside and get treatment and stuff like that. But then they were like, why the fuck are you, you know, giving all these drug addicts, you know, treatments like so well, like unlike other people? And so they limited the amount of offices that were around, and the lines would be outside, because there was such small space, and everybody would look at those people on the line, like, look at these drug addicts and this and that. And I mean, these are a lot of things that primarily happen to Black people, man. It's real true. There's another thing with like Coca-Cola and cocaine and Coca-Cola using the coca leaf and stuff like that. Yeah. And that was first, you know, instilled in Black communities. So there's a lot of iffy stuff about America's history, and it's fucked up.
I had a friend that knew about that, like Coke fact. And like when he learned about it late. He learned about it basically like after high school. Mm-hmm. But after he learned it, he was like, "Did you know this? Did you know that?" I'm talking about Neff Lucas. Mm-hmm. Like this guy Neff would just be like, he'd bring it up in almost every conversation you had. If anyone's like, "Did you know this? Isn't that crazy?" And everyone just be like, "Yeah."
I mean, it's fucking crazy, bro.
But no, I'll just say that like there's I only question if we talked about that in school just because I genuinely couldn't remember, but I am aware that, you know, there's just many things we don't learn about on a day to day.
Yeah.
And that's why I always think it's important to just go out and find your own research.
Oh, absolutely. What's up?
School system, like we all went to different schools now, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
we went to the same high school, yeah. But pretty much elementary and middle school.
Right?
Yeah.
Middle schools. Just talk, don't worry about it. And we all went at different times, right? So like, isn't it crazy that if we go to 7th grade, we were all taught the same curriculum?
Yeah, I mean it is, but I think
like obviously it should be a little same, but like nothing's changed, nothing's switched up.
I think the way it is that the American education system is so censored, especially like how we see in Florida, how they're banning a lot of like, I think, Afro teachings and stuff like that. You know, and what I mean is like Black history and blah, blah, blah. And how I think I always forget to research it about how they didn't want to say racism in a book. They wanted to say like, oh, the under like lucky. And that's not what it is. But look, I found the thing. I actually took a lot of notes. Let me just read this real quick. It's in Carl Hart's book, drug use for adults. By 1992, 90% of those sentenced under the harsh crack powder laws were black. They were required to serve a minimum prison sentence of at least 5 years for small amounts of crack. So 5 years, not 25, my bad. For small amounts of crack.
That is your bad.
Even if it was a first offense, though, 5 years is crazy.
25 years is crazier.
Of course. New York State's infamous 1973 Rockefeller drug minimum prison sentences of 15 years to life for possession of small amounts of heroin or other drugs. More than 90% of those convicted under Rockefeller laws were black or Latino, even though they represented a minority of drug laws. And President Nixon praised methadone as a useful tool in the work of rehabilitating heroin addicts. On that ought to be available to those who must do this work. There's a lot of stuff that's crazy, man. On April 14, 1986, USA bombed Libya in retaliation for Libyan-sponsored terrorism against American soldiers and citizens.
Can we get that on a shirt? There's a lot of stuff that's crazy, man.
And this is the last thing. Less than 1/3 of heroin users and less than 1/10 of people prescribed opioids for pain will become addicted. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a whole bunch of shit. But I'm going to use the bathroom real quick. Yeah, but at the end of the day, the only people that should get reparations are, Panamanians.
Drug users.
Drug users and Panamanians. You know?
If you're smoking weed, you deserve reparations.
Honestly, bro. Honestly. But
I'm black and I want reparations. That's all I'm saying.
I'm tall and I want Skittles. But yeah, I just release my bowels, release my demons. All that reparation talk got me a little. What was it like?
Got your bowels going.
Get my bowels going, bro. It's but it is what it is, and we have a show to run, so let's do this show.
I told you I got a date tonight.
Yeah, you're right. Honestly speaking, hopefully she's black. You know what I mean? So then you pay for dinner. You know what I mean? Reparations.
Ooh.
You know what I mean?
I'm gonna just look at her and I'm gonna just stare at her and wait for her to take out her wallet.
Just give her $7.
Just and I'll leave $1 tip.
This is the last thing I'll say about it. There was one time I was working at Starbucks and I was handing off the drinks and stuff like that. And I guess there was this trend going around on like TikTok or Instagram at the time, who knows? And some little black kid comes up, like middle school, literally, but physically. And he's like, "Hey man," I'm like, "What's up, bro?" He's just like, "Hey man, I'm here to get my black reparations and my free drink." And I was like, "Oh." And he's like, "You gonna give it to me?" I was like, "Nah." I was like, "Nah." He was like, "Damn." And I was like, "Yeah, bro." He's like, "You a cool dude." I was like, "You too, man." I just gave him a dap. I was like, "Bye." That's literally what happened. I was like, "What the fuck?"
I can't wait till you're a dad.
That ass. To my 18 black and Asian children.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? All adopted. On my
your 4 wives and 44 children.
My 4 wives, yeah. And I'll be wearing a tie every day. I'm a dad. All right, so I got some topics for you. If you have any thoughts on reparations and think we're complete wrong, keep it to yourself. No, I'm just kidding. Message us on Instagram, Earth Mind Matter Pod, TikTok, Earth Mind Matter Pod, or YouTube, Earth Mind Matter. Tell us whatever you want, as long as it ain't, what is it? As long as it ain't what?
As long as it ain't about dicks.
Honestly speaking.
Like, I'm allergic to dicks.
Yeah. If it's about dicks, you could probably message us. You know what I mean? Okay.
Okay. I'm not allergic to dicks.
All right. So I got 3 topics for you, as per usual. You know what I mean? And really quickly and vaguely, the first one is Zantac, a prescription drug. No, not a prescription, a regular drug that was on the shelves, but isn't no longer. Ooh. The second one is generative AI.
Okay.
Ooh, right? Pretty hip, if I do say so. And the third one for all you motherfuckers that like, Marvel movies is Ant-Man Quantamania, right? Is that what they call it? What is it?
Ant-Man the Wasp.
And the
Quantamania.
Oops. So, just off the bat, we're going to talk about Ant-Man first. So if you have not watched the movie, there will be spoilers. Javi will put in a little, marker as to when you can skip.
Here. To skip ahead of spoilers, go to 1 hour, 20 minutes, and 50 seconds.
And yeah, and then it'll tell you when to come back to the show or like skip over if you don't want any spoilers. But that'll be the first topic we talk about to spare you motherfuckers. But if you have watched it, we're going to start talking about it right now. All right, so I saw Ant-Man right after you did. I think you saw it Friday.
Saturday morning.
I saw it Sunday night. So really close and everything. And off the bat, I just saw that there was bad reviews for it. I think you said it to me too.
Yeah, I said it last episode even.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
And all right, so now that we can get more in depth with it and we're on topics and stuff like that. All right, so what did you think of Ant-Man and how did you think it upheld against the reviews that it got?
Well,
I know we spoke about it already a little, but I guess we gotta do it for the show too.
Well, it's funny because it's now tied with the Eternals as the lowest rated MCU movie.
That's crazy. Mm-hmm.
And I'll just say that I guess it's completely possible that just like my expectations were lowered so much before going into this movie, knowing like how much the critics didn't like it, that I didn't have a problem with it.
Oh, that makes sense.
The like all the criticisms that I've seen online are all legitimately fair. Every criticism that I've seen so far, I'm like, yeah,
makes sense, right? Yeah. And I feel like, what I think that set the bar for me was that a lot of people were saying like, oh, you need to have watched all the old movies before this, and you need to be caught up. So for some reason, I was thinking this was gonna be a movie that involved the other Avengers. So like 40 minutes in, I'm like, what, y'all, is like the Hulk gonna just come out of nowhere and just fuck shit up and everything? So I guess I hadn't seen the reviews were bad before it. I think I was just going to go watch it. It just had come out not too long ago. That's the first time I watched a movie like that quickly in a long time.
You watched it opening weekend.
Pretty much. And so I didn't really have high or low expectations. I just wanted to see like Thor in there or some shit like that. But given that it's an Ant-Man movie, and this I thought about it in hindsight, I mean, all the Ant-Man movies are kind of subpar in comparison to like the major ones, like goddamn, like Spider-Man or Thor or Hulk. So, I mean, I really like the first Ant-Man. I was alright with the second one, but at the end of the day, I never took him as serious as all the other ones. And so I think with that basis, I think for an Ant-Man movie, it was like stupendous. I think it was like the best one out of all of them to some extent. I think the first one was just funnier, and it had, what's his name, the Spanish guy,
Michael Pena.
Yeah, Michael Pena, when he's like, yeah, and I saw my grandma, and she was there. She was like, "What's up?" And I was like, "What's up?" And that shit was very funny. But
they've asked Peyton Reed, who's directed the Ant-Man movies, they've asked him why wasn't Luis in the movie
or T.I. and shit like that,
and he was just like, "Hey, Peyton Reed has just said that like it didn't make sense for the story for him to be there."
Yeah, and I feel like even during the second movie, it got a little overplayed with the same type of jokes and everything and all that stuff. But ultimately, what I think is that it was a crazy movie, man. And to dive in a little, first of all, shout out to Bill fucking Murray being in the movie. I remember during the movie, I was like, I know who this motherfucker is, of course, but I was like, what is his name? And I kept thinking Tom Hanks because he looks so old, and I was like, his name's like Tom. Michael George. I'm like, what the fuck is this guy's name? And then I go to, so I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? And I told Beatrice, I'm like, who is this guy? Like, is he like? And she was like, you don't know who that is? I'm like, no. And and I'm like, you know who that is? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, damn, you're caught up with the movies. You haven't seen the other Ant-Mans. And I'm like, she's like, no, I don't know who the fucking character is, but it's Bill Murray. And I was like, oh my God, what the fuck? I'm a dickhead. So the whole time I'm thinking, and I think I told you in text, that this movie it has to be an homage to Star Wars.
I mean, it's not. Because
there's so much things that are alike.
Well, it's because what I told you in the text when we were texting about it a little bit was that there are some comics that I've read where they go into the macroverse. Yeah. And it's either the micro or macroverse. It would make sense if it's micro, but I think macros probably just rolls off the tongue. Yeah. So I'm just gonna go with that. But they couldn't use that word for the movies because of legality issues. So they went with the quantum realm. Yeah. But in those comics that I've read of the micro or macroverse, whatever, it's like it's so good.
It's mimicked perfectly,
of how
right?
they portrayed that.
It was like an adaptation of the comic, if anything.
Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of like Star Wars vibes for sure, like the bar and stuff like that.
Think about that. The bar, right? The enemies that were all aligned, stormtroopers, except they don't miss. Right, and the first one, and then Kang using the Force to choke the person's neck, the daughter's neck.
Oh, I mean that's just his powers.
You know what I'm trying to say though, but it was like literally the neck thing. You know what I'm trying to say, and so I feel like all those three combined with going to space and not going to space, going to the microverse and stuff like that, or whatever it's called. I just feel like all those. I mean, I don't know. I just had a huge just reminiscent of like Star Wars in a bunch of different ways. But the bar thing was the main one. I'm like, it's the same shit. You get me? Like, and Futurama has done it for sure. A lot of other shows.
Yeah, I've seen like people like make the connections and stuff to Star Wars and whatnot. Yeah. But yeah, it's just
like coincidence also, or like not that far from just aliens in general and stuff like that.
That too, and it's also just kind of like again, like Star Wars was one of the first to do it. So it's kind of like it's kind of hard to not copy them, I guess.
Yeah, especially when you go into a different. I guess the only difference was that they were smaller rather than like huge and stuff like that. But visually, I mean, the movie's astounding. It's a beautiful movie, and I was telling you also like I'm really grateful that we watched Blade Runner before this because it was like I told Beatrice after the movie that Blade Runner and Ant-Man are they're just as equally as beautiful given the time periods they came out. and even the final cut and everything.
Yeah, I mean, when I watched a movie, there were like a couple like things here and there with the CGI and the special effects where I was a little like, I've noticed that just like as I become more critical of movies and stuff, that I've noticed that I guess shadows are really hard to CGI.
I'm imagining so, yeah,
because that's a lot of like the shadows is usually what throws me off a lot of the times, or like I'm thinking pretty early on when Janet and Hank and Hope they get those like sea rays or whatever to go to the bar. And she's about to pet it. Like as she was about to put her hand on it, the shadow of her hand on it just looks so off, and I was like,
And I guess it is really hard to do because you have to make up fake shadows from fake sunlight from fake sense of direction. I just think it's a lazy move, to be honest. Like, you can do it, but it's like, who cares?
So and so it's like I there were just a couple things here and there with the CGI and stuff where I was like, I did see from one of my favorite channels, Mr. Sunday Movies, that they both kind of agreed that they felt like there was a roof in terms of the set pieces and like the CGI and stuff.
Okay.
Just, like meaning that like the green screen effect is real, of kind of like, oh, this all looks fake. They're all just standing in a room with nothing and things like that.
I guess if I watched it a second time, but to me, I was totally just within it. Like I just,
so it's like, I, even with stuff like that, it's just like, even though I noticed certain things that like were a little off to me, I didn't get upset about it, or like it didn't like take me out of the movie or anything. I was still I was still going with it. Like it is pretty cliche in its plot.
Absolutely. Like there's nothing really, I mean, again, but that's what I think it is. Like if you're expecting like I haven't watched Endgame or Infinity Wars, but I know people like go batshit over that and everything. Like I wouldn't expect it from an Ant-Man movie because again, it's Ant-Man. Like it's Paul Rudd. Like it's supposed to be joking, and it's a lot of jokes and some. I mean, I guess Paul Rudd just tickles my funny bone because he really just makes me laugh. Like there was some guy next to me who did not laugh once, and I'm here like just fucking laugh at the stupid jokes.
He has such a good like dry humor where it's just like a lot of times he just kind of like pauses. Like I like the little joke when Kang is like, "Oh, are you the one at the hammer?" He's like, "No, that's Thor." And he just stands there for a second. He's like,
"They say we look alike."
We get confused with similar body types.
When they close in on the book and they zoom outwards and it's him doing the same pose as the book and everything, like little shit like that, man. It's fucking hilarious, bro. And even with the plot, with the whole daughter building this thing to go into the the microverse and stuff like that, the quantumverse. I mean, of course it's ridiculous and all that stuff. But the one scene I think that I liked the most, which I won't say is the best, but I loved it, was when it was like a bunch of hymns, the probability.
Yeah,
I thought that was real fucking cool, man. It even tripped me the fuck out a little, bro, because I got a little high before the movie. But just watching it, I was a little sober by then. And I was just like, God damn, like this is actually pretty like fucking weird, man. I told Rachel like I'm tripping a little out, man. This is kind of just too much for me. And then I also whispered to her, I was like, Rick and Morty. Because they also did an episode like that. You remember the outcomes?
They do an episode like that.
So for me, I was like, that's real fucking cool how like, all these little and how I guess to some extent the ideologies of Marvel can be a little more hippie, if that makes any sense. Like they can be like, oh yeah, what's outward is over reality, and with time, and I feel like that's such. I mean, it's always been a talk of conversation, like you said, is written in the comics. But I feel like today you're able to do that a little more and connect with people more because they're more, I guess, to an extent, certain extent, spiritual or more psychedelic. You get what I'm trying to say, alongside with the science of things. Because yes, there's segue to like all dimensions and stuff like that. But to me, that movie gave me a real like, what's anything, man? Like, is anything really anything when you think about how many times it could have been something else, man? And just, so for me, I think it's real like cool how that can change up. And there's a lot of other things in the movie that kind of I can apply that to. But I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, I definitely didn't walk away with anything that deep. I'm
just like a monk.
You were there sitting there. You just started like levitating in the theater. But no, I really like that probability scene. Yeah. I that was just a really cool scene. Yeah.
The Baskin Robbins throwback shit was so fucking funny. Yeah.
I just something that I did see online, which I had thought about as I was watching the movie, but like Hope definitely takes more the back seat in this movie.
Hope is the Wasp.
Yes.
100%. Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I don't really like her for the Wasp anyway. I don't really like her character in general. She's kind of trash.
It's
I hate
just-
when she did that fighting pose, like when she was about to get attacked and she put her hands out like that. I was like, come on, bro, like put your hands down, lady.
It's just like it's so hard to ignore where her name is literally in the title of the movie.
yeah, that's actually real true too,
And
because it really was about just Ant-Man the whole time.
Yeah, and it's like,
Yeah,
you know, if you're gonna have her name in the fucking like title,
involve
like,
her more, right?
Yeah, give her more to do or something.
Who's the guy that plays the father? Michael something.
Michael Douglas. He plays
Oh
Hank
my
Pym.
god, that shit with the hands in the spaceship, that shit had me dying every time they came up. Literally 45% of his role in the film, maybe 75%, is him just driving the spaceship with his hands. Like that's the shot they put on him. And who played his wife?
That is it Michelle Pfeiffer?
Yeah, it's Michelle Pfeiffer. First of all, she's gorgeous. She's absolutely gorgeous. The whole movie, I'm like, damn, you know,
For her age,
she
too,
looked
man.
beautiful. And what was I gonna say? I thought, what the fuck was I think I just got lost with her beauty.
No, I didn't like her story plot. Like I that was
There we
especially
go.
super cliche to me of just like
Yeah.
the whole like, no, I can't talk about it. I'm protecting you guys.
And then she should have talked about it or some
Yeah,
shit like
it's
that.
just like, bro.
Yeah, just tell us, bro. We're fucking, you're that little. I thought when I saw it going a little cliche was when they got to the land and then she went up to the guy and then she cut the arm off and they started laughing. Like how many times did that scene been done in every fucking film or TV and everything? But the little remember the little blob guy
blob.
with the holes?
Yeah.
So the funny thing is that for those that watch don't remember, he's like, oh, you have holes? How many holes you have? And then he's like 7, right?
That was another
yeah.
funny moment from Paul Rudd where like he says 7 and
he's
Paul
like-
Rudd just goes,
and the whole theater is also like, oh wait, do you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? He's like, yeah, 7. Like that was there's a comedian who does a joke like that, Ari Shafir, and I went to go see it live. It's Comedy Special Jew. Shout out to that special. Has like 6 million views on YouTube now because it was free. But 6 million views is a lot of views. And he's like, yeah, man, Jews are honestly the second most smartest race in the world, of course. And then he's just quiet, and everybody's like, and he's like, it's Koreans. Koreans, for if you guys are wondering, Koreans are the first. That was real fucking clever. Give away his joke, but whatever. But I thought, damn, why am I losing track? When he finally gets shot. So it's funny because when he gets shot and he has holes, the slime thing is like, I have holes now. And then he's supposed to attack like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
But it's hilarious because when he gets shot, right, and he finally realizes he has holes but doesn't say anything yet, some guy behind me is like, he has holes. And then the guy says, I have holes now. She caught me off guard like crazy, bro. It was me sitting there, Beatrice, and some 2 guys to our left or everything, eating loud ass snacks. But we had a bro moment because there was a moment where we just laughed like a mother. Because the hand scene went on with Michael, was it Douglas?
yeah.
His hands are in the slime thing, and I started dying laughing. Right? He's like, I started like, ha ha ha. And the guy next to me is laughing like crazy. And he looks over at me with a smile. He's like, ah. like an affirmation that we both think is mad funny.
So dumb.
And I didn't look, but I was like, we had a little moment. We had a little moment. Like just the biggest, like, like over, you know, it was real cool. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that movie didn't involve the most, special story or the craziest, like, everything else. But I thought visually and world, like, I think you said it in the text, like, the world they created was very impressive to me at the very least. And you, I think so too.
Yeah, I mean, I love the world. I really love that little joke where Hank, he's just like talking about how like technological everything. He's like, wow, this and that and this, and he just goes, holy shit, that guy's broccoli.
It's like a little broccoli, like, hey. I thought the concept of drinking the red ooze and like being allowed to hear anything, I thought that was real cool too, because it makes a lot of sense. I think more than most movies where they just speak English. Yeah. I'm like, what the fuck? And Star Wars, no, but I'm trying to say. But
that's pretty good.
Thank you. I'm out. I'm gonna end off on a good.
I can't do a Chewie.
You just gotta roll your R's. That's how you go.
I can't. I don't know. My voice isn't the right voice for it. Your voice is deeper than mine.
Call me Chewbacca.
I mean, you got a lot of hair.
Joe Jeff Ross. For those that don't know, I was on stage in Caroline, sold that show, Times Square. Yeah, she was real. Listen back like 4 episodes.
Yeah,
shout out to Jeff Ross.
But I did see one thing about the movie where someone, I think this was from IGN, where I didn't watch it or anything, but they just raised the question of like, Kang is a good villain, is a good villain for the MCU right now.
Yeah.
But was he the good villain for Ant-Man?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it was a good starting of it. You know?
Because
was he in any of the other movies?
Technically, no. You see a version of Kang in the Loki show.
That's what I've heard. You had to watch a Loki show and everything.
Which like the second post credit scene and stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, Lucas and I were so upset with our mom because we took our mom to go watch a movie with us. We're sitting during the credits and stuff. Like we're all just sitting there talking, and then we stop talking for a second. The credits are still rolling. Yeah. And then finally, the second post credit scene comes up, and everyone stops talking, and then my mom pulls out her phone, and then starts sending a text, and then and then like a couple seconds into the scene, I like wave my hand in front of my mom to be like, "You're missing it," and she just doesn't look up, and then the scene is over, and then she looks up and she goes,
"What happened?
What?" And like Lucas and I were just like, bro,
you missed it, bro.
What the fuck?
Here's a good way to get by the credits when you're waiting for it. Just look for your name. Unless you got a common ass name, then it sucks for you. But me and Beatrice are trying to find our names. No Frankies, by the way, involved in the making of Ant-Man.
I like looking through the credits just to see the crazy names that you'll find on there.
Yeah, Debasaki Chiramoto Fawasa.
Chimi Machuri.
Yeah, the third. I thought Kang was a real cool character. I really like how he's like, "Rah!" for every time he like did this and that. But it's cool. I mean, honestly, I enjoyed the movie very much. And actually, what I wanted to do for this episode in terms of comic was a comic called Ant-Man and Giant Man, released in like 19 something. It was a really expensive book. It's like $83 paperback.
Holy shit.
Yeah, but like the online was 16, but I wanted to possess the book. But I figured it's just too much money and like too fast to like go through and stuff. But I was very interested. I don't know if you know anything about it. Ant-Man, Giant Man. Let me show you the cover. I saw the black people, what's it called? Reparations thing.
There's an Ant-Man series that just came out back in June of last year by Al Ewing, who is a really great writer. But I want to read that. I haven't read it yet, but I need to pick that up to start reading that.
Go pick that shit up, bro.
But there's I've read a couple of good Ant-Man runs. The most recent one was from Nick Spencer, and Nick Spencer is kind of infamously known in the comic space for certain things. He's the guy that made Captain America say "Hail Hydra," if you remember that.
Say his name. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, Nick Spencer. He's the guy that made Captain America do that.
He's not the red face guy, right?
No, Nick Spencer's the writer.
Oh, I'm a dickhead. I thought you meant the red face guy in the movie. In the first,
I'm talking about the writer. But he wrote a pretty good Ant-Man run a few years back, a little more than that, but He brought like a really modern twist to like the Ant-Man series and stuff, or like one of Ant-Man's villains was like a rideshare villain.
A rideshare villain? Like what do you mean?
It was one of his villains that was starting a ride sharing app, and
what the fuck?
And Ant-Man was starting his company as a locksmith sort of company, like for locks and things like that. And their companies were
rivaling into it. That's hilarious.
It's so funny, and it's like it was so good. It's such a good run.
Oh, I can't find the fucking book, so you just have to believe me on that one. Nice. I mean, I want to read an Ant-Man comic book too. I mean, I've seen some like small ones, but I want to read like a volume of it or stuff like that. But again, the great things about it coming to the movies and stuff is like bringing you to be able to read the books and stuff like that. Especially me, who I'm not really unaware of it and stuff. Like my reality of Ant-Man is like Paul Rudd. You know, but obviously there was much more beforehand and everything. And
yeah, I mean, something that the MCU doesn't even do at all is that, well, they kind of do, but I mean, you have to remember Hank Pym was the original Ant-Man.
I forgot about that.
And the Wasp, the original Wasp, Janet, she used to be part of the Avengers. Both Ant-Man and Wasp used to be part of the Avengers, but in the MCU, the Avengers didn't assemble until like
after Hank and stuff like that.
So stuff like that is just like we're never gonna get that history of the Marvel universe in the MCU.
Maybe they'll throw it back. Maybe there'll be like history of the Avengers and stuff like that, you know, and then start from the beginning. That'd be kind of odd. You never know, but yeah, but check out Ant-Man if you haven't seen it.
Yeah,
you know?
pretty decent.
It's a fun movie for sure.
For people who didn't like it too much, you know, hey,
go fuck yourself.
maybe it's just really hit or miss for people. Maybe you'll like it, maybe you won't. Who knows? But we thought it was pretty decent.
Honestly, yeah. I really am surprised that it got such bad reviews. Like, I think, what was it? It got like a 50 on Rotten Tomatoes?
Like 50 something.
That's
so
like strange. It doesn't even deserve that. You know what I'm trying to say? Maybe if you expected the Hulk to come out like me.
The user score is definitely higher than the critic score.
Good.
So definitely it seems like the users are more okay with it. And I think I mentioned to you in the text that in that IGN review that I saw of the movie, there was a comment where someone mentioned that there are a lot of reviewers coming to the same score. IGN gave it a 7, but for different reasons.
7 sounds fair. I think 7's a good. I mean, even then, I would still give it like a. I mean, just for like enjoyment reasons, you know, and not to like link it to the other Avengers movies and stuff. I just enjoyed it very much. And I think it's cool, man. It's a cool fucking movie, but they shouldn't make any more. Like, they should wait a long time before they make another Ant-Man movie, in my opinion, because there's not really much you could do. You know, it's like, I don't know. Maybe you can, maybe you can't.
I did see one comment that said that MODOK should have been the main villain of Ant-Man 3. I was like, that would have been so good.
Am I mistaken that his MODOK was in a Marvel vs. Capcom game? There's a character that looks like him,
maybe.
right?
I don't know. I never really played those games too much.
I'm pretty
so
sure that. Let me see if I can find it, because there's a character that resembles MODOK completely. But let me just see. Marvel vs. Capcom. Yeah, I think he is.
But you see his little fucking wet cheeks.
Yeah, he is. He's definitely in it. Look.
Okay.
Like, these are the characters. So, because I definitely seen his character before. First of all, he's the funniest deaf in Marvel history ever. He's fucking hilarious, bro. And I didn't really like the young girl's acting. Like, I mean, not that the acting was really something I cared about. I didn't really like her role in the movie. You know, I thought it was kind of just like repetitive, obnoxious, and just like, you know, like I get there, like, you know, even the mom they're all like, you know, progressive and stuff like that. But it's very cliche with today's climate. Like, she was protesting and got thrown in jail in the maze. I was like, all right, Marvel, we get it. you know what's happening around the world. You know. But yeah, man, that's pretty much it. I just want to talk about Ant-Man real quick. We both talked about it. I feel like it's a quick thing. I have like 2 longish stories that I have. One is longer than the other. But yeah, that's pretty much it, to be honest with you, with the Ant-Man thing. We're not talking about Ant-Man anymore. We're good, Brian. We finished the Ant-Man. Homie Brian
he
is
threw
here.
a finger up at you. Wow, he said, "Fuck off."
He's like, "Get the fuck out! I'm here to play my game, and that's it. Fuck your stupid ass show." But yeah, man. Any last comments on the Ant-Man?
Nah, just I'd love to see what our fans have to say about it for anyone who has seen it.
Definitely get super high before you watch that movie. I think that movie deserves just get real high and watch it.
AKA be me.
Yeah, basically. I smoked a television, and then once it began and I was watching it, I was like, damn, should have smoked way more before I got to this fucking. I smoked more for the whale. That shit was sad as fuck. Shit was crazy, bro.
But nice.
Yeah, man. All right, so for my next topic. It's an age-old story, but it's actually, you know, new today with what sprouted post like decades, and it has to do with the medical drug called Zantac, right?
Okay.
So let me put you on, bro.
Put me on, brother.
So this is a pretty interesting story because it has to do with, you know, pharmaceutical company, but ultimately with a drug called Zantac. So in 1978, Glaxo Laboratories was granted a U.S. patent after they created a molecule which they named
For the listeners, Frankie started the word and then had to look over at his laptop. He had to zoom in real life,
like
just to fucking read the rest of the word.
With like a perplexed look on my face. So in 1978, Glaxo Laboratories invented the molecule ranitidine, spelled ranitidine, because they were granted a permit from the U.S., right? Glaxo Laboratories at the time was a small British company, but through the molecule, they developed the molecule, and through it, that's why I wrote that. I don't know why I wrote that. Through the molecule, they developed Zantac. After the U.S. Food and Drug Administration reviewed it quickly, right? So the drug that came about was named Zantac, and its purpose was to heal ulcers and treat heartburns. It had tremendous success in sales and surpassed the less safe and not as effective competitor, Tagamet, at the time. So that Tagamet was the most popular drug at the time, and Zantac surpassed it by crazy. Half of Glaxo Lab's sales arose from Zantac, as well as their profit. And companies such as Pfizer and Sanofi also sold Zantac. And I'm sure you've heard of Pfizer before.
Nope, never.
You know, so now known as GSK PLC. They produce other drugs such as the shingles vaccine, Shingrix, and antidepressants Paxil-7 and Wellbutrin. It gained much funding after winning an award from Queen Elizabeth, and the CEO himself was also knighted by her and everything.
Okay.
But
damn.
yeah, no, that's pretty crazy, right? But more than 70,000 people today are suing Zantac and Glaxo Labs in particular, not the medication. The trials are set to begin later this month in the California Superior Court in Alameda County, but it's likely to be delayed and begin in the summer. Just to cut in real quick, the first time I ever heard about Zantac was on Joe Rogan through the guy Brian Redband, and it was just random because it was like a quick mentioning of it, and he was saying like, yeah, man, I went to the store and just picked up all these Zantac things because apparently they're going out of business because they give you like cancer and stuff like that. And he's like, yeah, I just bought a whole bunch of them because I heard you could trip out on them if you eat them. Fucking retard, you know? Yeah. So, but that's the first time I ever heard about it. So being read about it now you hear 70,000 people are suing, right? So, like I said, the trials are set to begin, you know, either in the summer or much later. And Pfizer and Sanofi are also being sued, you know? Zantac proved to be problematic after a probable carcinogen. And you remember what a carcinogen is?
Yeah.
Tell the people what a carcinogen is.
It's something that can cause like lung cancer and things like that.
So yeah, it causes cancer in living tissue, and it was found in Zantac at high levels. So people were eating this fucking medication like 2 times a day and getting, you know, not getting cancer, but in risk of getting cancer because of carcinogen within Zantac, right? And the carcinogen came about because of the molecule that they invented, ranitidine. So the ranitidine that they found, it led to the drug, and it turned out that the carcinogen is within the molecule, which is pretty crazy.
So they created their mess.
Basically. And at one point in time, the carcinogen was used in rocket fuel and is used today to induce cancer in rats.
Ew.
This isn't a drug people consume. And so they refer to it as MDMA. And because of this, Zantac was pulled off shelves in the spring of 2020 with a halt to any company manufacturing it. Glaxo today has hidden critical studies, published faulty research to lessen concern, and they stored it and transported it like just in a way that made it worse. Like if they had at least stored it correctly, it would have like lessened the problematic, you know, aspects and shit like that. But they just fucked up on all levels. They produced false studies or like went along with like, you know, askew studies and all that bullshit. Mind you, this is America. You know, this is like what it is with prescription. Again, it's not a prescription drug. It was on the shelves, you know, drug. So because of the Freedom of Information Act, right? And what it is, the Freedom of Information Act, for those that don't know, is a law that requires the full or partial disclosure of previously unreleased or uncirculated information and documents controlled by the U.S. government, state, or other public authority upon request. Basically, if people request it, they gotta know, especially if motherfuckers is hiding cancer in their drugs, you know?
Okay.
So, because
you know what's interesting, even to that, I've noticed that like these weed products now in New York and stuff, now it's becoming legal.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's always said this in like Cali and stuff, but
and make it cancer and shit like that.
Yeah, like the risks of cancer and stuff. And it's like the first I've ever seen on these products. I'm like, oh wow.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things about those, I mean, when you go to California, I think with a lot of things you're surrounded by, especially when you go into buildings and everything, they have cancer warnings everywhere. But what like with like flour you're buying, or like the pens and shit like that, or edibles?
All of it.
It just all says like it may cause cancer and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's super strange. What the fuck?
Yeah, like it's just like labeled on the back of it, like with the warning sign and stuff.
That's so weird. It's like marijuana. But what if you're just buying an edible? It still has that?
I don't know about edibles because I haven't bought edibles.
Maybe it's just the act of smoking that can cause, like they say it causes cancer or may cause cancer.
Yeah, so
it's really strange.
Yeah, that's why I thought of that, because I was like, oh, I mean, you know, they are like doing that.
Yeah. For me, I still feel like I feel more safe buying like weed off a dealer than I do off like not the 3 recreational marijuana stores in New York City. You know, even like, you know, how delis were selling it, or like the little trucks that you be seeing and stuff like that. I still don't trust those things. Or like people on the street with like tables that they're selling at eighths. And
well,
like,
they're
you know,
like dispensaries, like quote unquote dispensaries that are like clubs and things like that.
Yeah, like private clubs and shit like that.
Yeah,
right?
that go around that, that circumvent that. Like I just picked up an ounce from this member club place called Empire Cannabis Club.
Yeah,
great place. And because they were selling an ounce for $185,
cheap.
And I was like, God damn.
Yeah.
Like for people who don't smoke, an ounce for $185. Like normally an ounce is at
for
least
like 200, 300.
Yeah, at least 200.
Yeah.
So an ounce for 185, I was like, God damn.
You know, but even then with those private clubs, like you still are under your own regulation. You're not under any like, you know, I mean, I just feel way better buying out a dispensary. I don't prefer it because it's expensive as fuck, you know. But a dealer, I just feel better because it's like, it's my dealer, you know, it's my homie, you know. And not really, like they could be getting some, you know, bad shit, late shit over too. But you know, when you get that good dealer, you know you're gonna get the same shit every single time. For
I
a good
literally
price.
tell my dealer that I'm gonna keep buying from you because you gotta still support your local dealer.
Nah, fuck that. When prices start going high, I'm out. I'm out of here. But yeah, I mean, even the mayor and stuff were saying that there were so many like delis and shit that they're cracking down on for selling marijuana and stuff like that. I don't trust delis at all, man. I just don't do it. I know a lot of people do, and I didn't eat an edible from somebody that bought from the city. I should have hit like crazy. I was fucking high for like 7 years, and I just still am iffy on it, man. Because they motherfuckers don't care about you, you know, at all, you know. So I don't know. I feel like a dealer has much more of a reputation to uphold than a deli. You know,
all I know is that the deli over here, they get some pretty good weed. I know the guy. We always chat and stuff. So I trust him enough. I'm like, you know what? This is good shit.
He giving you that trash, bro. He giving you that fucking Betty White. Anyway, to go back to the Zantac and bring it back to the trials because I'm almost done. To bring it back to the trials, the U.S. District Judge Robin Rosenberg dismissed thousands of federal lawsuits. Her statement on it is long, but her conclusion is that, quote, there is no consistent or reliable evidence that Zantac or Nitidine increases the risk of any type of cancer. Stank as hope.
Of course she would say that.
GSK, the founders of Zantac, responded saying, we, quote, will continue to defend itself vigorously, including against all claims in this litigation, end quote. And no further comments were made afterwards. Yet, they still have thousands of cases they will face that don't abide the stank-ass holes federal court ruling. The EPA, the FDA, and the WHO all say MDMA likely causes cancer in humans. It's just difficult to prove a person's cancer cells were mutated because of Zantac.
So it's hard to trace it back.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's also another thing where I didn't write
reparations.
down. Slip that in there, bitch. I'll give you a real like good
Yeah, you did.
They were saying that I think a certain amount, a very small amount, if 2 times the amount were put into a human being than it was a mouse, the mouse would survive, but a human would die within a matter of days. Like, it's real crazy stuff, scary, man. And there's a whole bunch of reading that I should have done that I didn't, but I also felt it would get way
stronger than us.
Maybe, bro.
Oh god.
But I also felt it would get real fucking like informational, where I feel like that's a good gist of the story. And I think it's important to realize that this is not the first time this is gonna happen. I remember we talked about that drug that Joe Rogan talked with the guy and how it was a pill that was given out to so many people. I think a bunch of people died because of it, and the company was just fined. But even then, their profits surpassed the fine, so they still profited a good $1 million.
Which one was this?
It was like the Joe Rogan episode where we talked about like remember he was on the news and you try to make a point, but you know you can never cancel Joe Rogan. No, it was the drug that I got it wrong, so we put it correct in this elementary. It was like I'm gonna fuck up the name, but ultimately it got a lot of people sick, and it killed a lot of people. And they found out that they were distributing a drug that was, you know, basically wrong, and not enough studies were done on it. And they were fined minimal. They profited at the end of the day. After murdering a bunch of people because of their faulty drug, even past their fine, they still profited millions of dollars. So it was a success to some extent. Yeah. You know, and that's so crazy. And like when things like that happen in the world, like how could you blame people for being skeptical of the vaccine? There goes our COVID warning on the show and everything.
Well, I mean, now you said it. You fucking doofus! Oh my god, this fucking guy.
Yeah, what do you think about that? Like with that, these being taken into consideration, and other, I'm sure there's a bunch of other pills that you know.
I mean, it's just when it comes to pharmaceuticals, like money speaks, which is applicable to most things in life. Money speaks, but in the pharmaceutical world, it is very predatory. I feel like it like while they push that intent of that, you know, we are saving people, we are getting them the medication they need. There's also a lot of neglect in terms of like, but we're also just making focusing money on a profit. Yeah.
Do you believe in the theory or conspiracy that the cure to cancer and AIDS exists and stuff like that, but they just hold it back because they want to make money off medical bills, like treatments, like rather treat the cure than treat the disease than cure it? You think that's true?
I have genuinely thought about this before, and I can't come to a decision.
Yeah.
I really can't.
What do you think, Brian? Tell me.
I think
Brian just came out of nowhere. They're like, "What the fuck is this?"
I think there's a cure. I think there's a cure out there. I feel like there has to be one. Like they just with all the science and the way like it progresses, like we literally have VR, but we don't have like the kid of cancer, bro.
VR cancer.
Yeah, like yo, we come on, like bro, it's like yo, that's all I'm saying. It's just because I'm like I don't know, like the best way I remember my and this is the conspiracy theorist from the bar, and actually one of the he brought up a point and he was like, can you imagine that because we were talking about like I'm blind as fuck, and he was like, yo, like when you were younger, the radiation that coming from your television, I was like he was like it was like mostly the television because I would like sit so close and he knew like people would sit so close. And he was like, though that like our monitors have gotten like in terms of light and LED have like improved so that our eyesights won't harm us. By looking at the staring at the screen so much, even in our phones too. Well, back then it was the Motorola set didn't really matter, but like those huge television sets, and it was like imagine all that electrical wiring, right?
Yeah, the CRTs. And shit.
And then like imagine like that ultraviolet like just going into your eyes that probably cause you blindness. Like obviously. Like, but that was a myth, though. No, well, I mean, if you look at the spect of like the ultraviolet, like you can see it, like literally, like, yeah. But I mean, like, I'm not saying like it causes cancer or like something. Like, nah, like he was he was saying it caused cancer. I was like, but it definitely does strain the eyes, and that's real. Yeah. That's why people need glasses for like when they especially people that work in the office, they need like
reading glasses,
exactly,
and shit like that.
So that kind of made sense because it was like, oh, but we could fix LED lights and stuff like that. But he was just kind of like, well, like imagine how much funding has been going through like research for cancer, like billions, millions. Because it's like it's not only one foundation, like there's literally multiple organizations that collect money. And he was just saying it too, like, yo, we could. All it took is one company, like 3 companies, Samsung or fucking Sony, to like LG, just to fix a TV, but. You telling me that he can't like find like 5, like 6, 7 companies or nonprofits that are out there in the world to cure cancer? It's like, come on. Yeah, I was like, you're true, bro, because it's like, yo, like I'm about to be a scientist right now. I'm about to cure this shit.
And this is the guy who allegedly gave Brian a sword. Describe the sword to the people. It's all alleged, by the
way. So this sword is.
Tell him why he has swords.
Oh, okay. So he has swords because he believes that the war and like or apocalypse is coming soon.
Okay.
He thinks that when we got the COVID vaccine, that it caused like the government was trying to control us. Yeah, with 5G towers and stuff like that. So he's saying that we're gonna be controlled, and he's saying that we have to prepare ourselves. And yeah, so he had his own bunch of swords, and I was just there. And mind you, I only talk to this guy about soccer. I don't really like listen to all the conspiracy. Like there are times where I'm like, but even then I'm like, all right, it's just he made it sound like really, really cool. So I was like, oh, okay. But and I was like, oh, it'd be cool to. I just went out of the blue like, yo, you have all these swords, I mean, pretty cool to have one. He was like, you want one? And I was like, yeah, sure. He was like, I just never know when you're here. Well, I was like, I'm gonna be here to watch the game. And like I told him, but I did not think he was gonna bring me the sword. So I remember going to the bar and I'm watching my game. My team lost. I remember, and then it was early, and one of the bartenders goes like, "Dang, you're early." I was like, "Yeah, I wasn't planning on watching the game, but here I'm getting a sword, so just to see if it's true." It was true. He brought it in. It's literally like about it's probably like 2 feet.
It's 12 feet long.
No, it's probably like 2 feet, and it's one of those he says a sword meant for piercing, like that. Like, so
when does the length of that sort of weapon differentiate a dagger to a sword?
I think so.
When you're like, oh shit, that's a sword.
No, yeah. So it's definitely.
But
nice.
2 feet is kind of short.
No, it's like 2 feet.
feet, bro. That's
Yeah.
a big ass sword, bro.
That's 2 Subway footlongs, bro.
I don't know. 2 feet as a sword. As a sword, though, like
There's like so. There's like this, and then, like literally, it's like the width of this. The sword is the width of this.
this
So
is
like-
not
they're
2
like-
feet.
Oh well, I mean, like, what 2.5?
I don't know how long this table is, but
You better watch your mouth. You're talking to a man with a sword, bro. I'm just saying, be careful, bro. I respect Brian way more.
I'm gonna bring the sword and just cut the table in half.
does that look like 2 feet here?
But yeah, he got me. He brought me the sword. Yeah, and it's one of the like it's a when Elon Musk said, "Oh, I want it pointy," you know, when he
Okay.
said the ship, it kind of looked like that. This is just pointy, and yeah, he said it's meant for piercing, not slashing, and I was like, all right. So I was like, whenever I guess whenever I need it, you know, whenever I need it.
Tell them how you poke yourself with this.
Oh yeah. So I'm trying to get my sandwich, and I'm like, how am I supposed to hold this? Like, because I was like, people are gonna look at me, and
I demand the sandwich.
and so I'm trying to like trying to hold it steady, and I'm like kind of like, and my dumbass goes like it's like putting it like this, and I was like, oh, and then the point just like pierced
Oh
my
my god.
but it wasn't even like crazy, like it literally poked it, and I just started bleeding. I was like, damn. But don't have swords, kids.
And one thing back to the drugs, where the guy was saying, first of all, shout out to that guy. He really could chat for a long time about any conspiracies you throw at him. Like he is like a boomerang. But he was mentioning how he was like, he was like, you vaccinated? I was like, yeah. And he was like, don't worry, there's a drug you can buy called like, and if you buy it, it'll get rid of the vaccine spreading in your body. Because as we speak, the vaccine is spreading a certain thing in your body, and eventually it will make you abide the 5G towers when it turns on. Then when it turns on, I'll have to kill you. That's what he said to me. And I'm like, oh shit. But then I don't know if you remember when we talked about Sandy Hook with poor ass Alex Jones, fucking $1 billion. God damn. One of the biggest things that he was asked in court is that if or not he sold drugs on his website Infowars in order to fight COVID. And apparently a lot of companies used COVID as a way to sell basically bullshit like drugs that would prevent COVID in order to profit. And I think he himself said that he took a certain drug, like he went to go meet up with some guy and like get a certain drug, or I don't know if it was a form of needle or a pill, but clearly like these things might be some bullshit if they're not from official doctors or science, who knows. But I think that's real interesting how, I mean, even if you're just a civilian, you're getting fucked with, you know. But I just can't imagine if you're selling those drugs. Like, you have to be a real bullshit person to like make up this whole drug name to say that it gets rid of bullshit just to, you know, give you money. Because I imagine that shit's not cheap, you know. A low price of $42,000. I'll give you this Starburst.
Dude, and speaking of just like how like expensive medication is and things like that, God, I had the situation at work where this lady
Allegedly.
No, this can be on the books.
Okay. Not that they're ever not on the books or on the books, you know what I mean?
No, the other ones
Shut
all
up, I'm
made
trying to
up.
protect
All
you,
made
bro.
up.
Oh, sure,
The
oh,
other
sure.
ones were all made up.
Okay.
This one is on the books.
Okay.
Because I'm not gonna like give out her name or anything like that.
Yeah.
But
Just
it's
your social security.
Yeah, that. But 2467891.
Nice.
But she came in and she was like an older Hispanic lady.
That'd be
and-
crazy if you actually just got it right off of. That's actually a social security number. And she's like, "Javi, why would you do that?" Damn.
But
Okay.
she came in and she was like, "Oh, like I didn't get my. I came in, had my visit, but I didn't get my medication. The pharmacy didn't give me this one medication." And I was like, "Oh, okay, no worries.
Sucks for you, ho.
Go speak to the pharmacy in our basement. They'll go help you." Then, like 10 minutes later, I get a call from the pharmacy, and they're like, "Hey, can you come down here and help with a translation?" And I was like, "Okay, sure." So I go down there, and it's the same lady. And they explained to me that this lady's trying to get her test strips for her diabetes. But that like they sent the order to the pharmacy, so they don't know why the pharmacy wasn't giving her the test strips.
Yeah.
So when I asked the lady, she was like, "Oh, I don't know. They said something about my insurance or something like that or whatever. They just wouldn't give it to me. They gave me everything else but the test strips." And when I told that to the pharmacy, my coworker in the pharmacy, she was like, "Oh, you know, we've actually been seeing a lot of stories like that where like these people aren't getting their test strips because the insurance just won't cover it for some reason, and that these test strips aren't cheap. And so a lot of these patients are struggling with their insurances to get their test strips."
So crazy how that in itself can't be cheap. Yeah.
And my coworker told me to tell her to call her insurance to see what could be done, and I was like, okay, cool. So,
what's so funny, Brian? What you giggling about? What happened? Okay. Brian just giggling into my left over here.
But so I explained to her like, oh, call your insurance, see what they can do for you, this and that.
Okay.
And because she's a little older, she's like, oh, can you actually help me with that?
And you're like, nah.
And she takes out her card, her insurance card, and I'm like trying to read. Like I tell her the number on the back of the card, and she's like, can you help me like dial the phone number in and stuff? Because she just didn't know how to work her phone, and so I'm helping her do that.
Which I'm not laughing that she couldn't do it. It's just like, can you feed me afterwards? Bathe me.
But I forgot that we were in the basement. So when she called, it didn't go through because we had no service in the basement.
So that sounds like your fault.
Totally my fault.
Yeah.
This is all my fault.
100%.
And I'm black. And it's just what I was telling her that like, okay, so just when you get home, make the call, see what you can do, this and that. And she was just like, oh, it was so difficult for me to get here, this and that. Like I live cross town, I had to take 2 buses. It's hard for me because I'm old. And she kind of like patted my belly and she's like, I'm not young like you.
No, she's trying to clap your cheeks.
And she like grabbed my coworker's arm and she's like, I'm not young like you either. And then she just took a second and then she just started crying for a second.
Oh, no.
And I was like, fuck.
Like, come on, lady.
And I was like, oh.
Yeah, nobody really cares that much.
I felt so bad for her.
Did you really?
I did. I genuinely felt really bad for her. I was like, man, like.
Did you touch her stomach back?
Like, I patted her on the shoulder.
That's perverted as fuck.
I put my hand on her shoulder and I was just like, yeah, you know.
Of course it's real sad. I'm just joking, but damn.
But yeah, I was just like, that's the most that we can do. But it's just like when it comes to that, like pharmaceuticals and insurance and shit like that.
They don't give a fuck.
They don't give a fuck. They just want their money.
You should have hit her with the fuck it though as your life.
I should have been like,
ooh, yeah. Sounds like a you problem. Next. I mean, it's real sad, and I think one interesting product coming out in the future. This is kind of it has to do with diabetes, but there's like a thing you install on your arm. I don't know if you've seen it, where like it's a little contraption you put within your arm, and then now like all you gotta do is like wave your palm across your phone when you're on the app, and it tells you your like diabetes level, like your blood sugar. Wow. Yeah, it's real crazy. Nick Jonas advertised they're in the Super Bowl.
I forgot he has diabetes.
Yeah, and
I remember when the news came out about that, and like if you were a guy that made a joke about that, every girl was like, how dare you? You know, like how bad it is for him and this and that. It's Nick Jonas.
It's just funny to add to anything. It's Nick Jonas. Like, I don't give a fuck. But he's been advocating for that. I think on the Super Bowl he advocated. I can't speak today. Advocated for it. And in general, I've just seen it when I was during COVID, when I was looking at the stocks a lot, it was A.M.C. and everything. Some guy was talking about that, and I think it's a real cool advancement in diabetes. But I'm assuming everything costs a lot of money, especially when you're paying for it on such a frequent basis when things you need. And it's like tampons, you know what I mean? I know it's not the same exact thing because one is like, you know, aid to hygiene and you know, natural body cycle, and the other is like what's it called? Like assistance to your disease.
If you don't clean yourself up, isn't that going to cause problems down the line?
Well, no, but I mean more so of the shortage. It's funny enough, I was reading an article in the Times, Apple News Plus. They blessed me, so I'm reading I'm reading so much articles now. It's not even funny.
So many.
I'm sleepy. And fucking there was a big shortage in 2022, and I think tampons have gone up. I think by 10% overall in price. Oh, and wow. It's crazy because it was funny because the title was the Great Tampon Shortage of 2022. I was with the you know what I mean, just like that funny. But the person said, she was like, it's clear and obvious that the people that are making the decisions for the pricing and availability for these items are not ones that use them. Okay, men, you know. And I just think that it's like with the pharmaceutical.
And you want
company,
me to make a decision on reparations?
No, I want you to get a tampon and put that shit in your face and just do that. You know, when you put a tampon in your face, not that I do it. It's just kind of gross when you think about it. Not that there's anything wrong with tampons or periods, you know? No, but I'm kidding. But it's just like, you know, putting a tampon in your face is like putting a condom on your shoulder. You know, it's just like, you don't want to do that. It's kind of... I saw a condom on the floor on my way to work today.
Nice.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? It was in an intersection. I was like, how the fuck this get here? Like, a car
was it used?
I don't know. I tasted it, but I couldn't really tell you.
Oh, come on! Everyone knows a taste of cum.
You're right. I actually have it in my pocket right here. If you want some later.
Okay.
Later.
All right.
No, I'm kidding.
Icky cookie.
Come. Oh, actually, there was a guy who got. yeah, I swear to God, there's a guy who got sentenced to prison because there's a woman and a guy who going to prison because she put the cum of him in the cookies and fed it to students. Yeah, isn't that crazy? And on that note, I'm gonna use the bathroom. Brian, what you think about cum cookies?
Oh my God!
What the fuck?
Get Brian a beer while you're at it. But wait, Lucas is in the bathroom.
What? What the fuck am I supposed to say with cum cookies, bro?
Have you ever played Icky Cookie, Brian?
No.
You haven't played Icky Cookie?
No.
Should the three of us play right now?
No, I don't think so.
Play Icky Cookie. Should the three of us play right now? Yeah. Yeah.
That's right. I'm three. What was it? 3 strokes and done. So I think I'll win. 3. 1, 2, 3.
That's that beer belly catching up.
Yo, facts, bro. It's that whiskey dick. That whiskey dick.
She says round 2, and you're like, round what?
I'm like, go get me a Gatorade.
I hear with like cocaine and whiskey, like with alcohol, either one of them could like make you not impotent.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, whiskey dick is like an actual thing.
I never knew until the I never knew until the bartender told me, Danny, and I was like, "You got whiskey dick, huh?" Because I was there with one of my exes, and he was just poking fun of me, and we were both like, "What the fuck is whiskey dick?" We did not know. I was like, and I had to tell him. He was like, "Stop acting stupid." I was like, "No, I genuinely don't know." I was like, "What is it?" And then he told me, he's like, "Oh, you can't get hard after drinking so much," and I was like, "Oh shit!" I was like, I guess I gotta slow down.
Yeah.
No, but thankfully it hasn't happened. The day it does, I'll stop whiskey. Then I stop alcohol. I'll probably be like, I'll like enjoy sobriety.
The day that fucking Brian goes sober, he's gonna be hard all the time.
Yeah. Oh, what was it? Have you ever seen Sons of Anarchy?
No, I haven't.
Oh damn! But there was a guy who literally just facts. There goes my story. Now this is a guy, a character that jerks off because he's so hard all the time. And then, yeah, and it's funny.
Good for him.
And then one of the gang members chops off his hand to be like, "Yo, stop jerking off." And then he learned to do it with his other hand. And then he comes out of prison, and then he's the same gang member that chopped off his hand. He's like, "Bruh, like, how did you learn?" Like, I'm sorry, man. It's just how I am. Literally, it was such. It's a very gruesome. It's a very dark show. I suggest that show to anyone.
That sounds so silly from something that like looks so serious.
It is. This is dark humor.
I'll share. You keep it on. I'll share one thing real quick. I'll be very vague with it because it's my personal life. But ever since I started eating healthy, like every morning I'm hard as fuck. Like every morning, just to be like, but like truthfully, when I was eating unhealthy and like drinking a whole bunch and everything, like I was just like limb dig fiasco, you know. And then every morning now is just like, you know. And the reason I mentioned that, I'm like, is this healthy? Or am I just blue balled or this and that? And I think it's real interesting. Like I know that's like real, you know, personal and stuff like that. But
Brian, what do you think about Frankie's dick?
Yeah, what do you think about my hard dick every morning?
I think when this episode comes out, Beatrice is gonna be like, "Yo, what the fuck? Like, you just put me down to the gutter, bro. Like, you just dead ass. You just said my pussy's not good enough. You said fuck your diet, bro. Like, oh, shouts out to you.
I'm just saying my dick healthy now.
You're eating pineapple now.
Anyway, back to this semen cookie. Well, anyway, shout out to you, Beatrice. I love you. There's it says I googled preschool teachers semen cookie students. That's what I googled, right? And what came up is this. About to read you a little story. It says a twisted Louisiana ex-teacher who admitted to giving her students cupcakes laced with her husband's sperm has been sentenced to 41 years in prison. That's crazy, right?
Disgusting.
This is in February 20th. Oh, this is last year, 2022. Yeah. She had 7.
We just passed the anniversary.
Yeah, good shout out to her.
Aww.
You think she's beautiful? Minus the semen cookie. How does she look?
She looks like she would give semen.
She looks like a hillbilly.
She looks like a teacher.
She looks like a teacher. So nice, Javi. A teacher who fed her kids semen cookies.
She looks like she opened the door during a school shooting. if he's still out there.
She looked like she'd be committing the school shooting. But she faced 72 charges of various sex crimes, 68 of which were dropped in her plea agreement. What the hell? As part of the deal, she agreed to testify against her husband. Damn, she's a little snitch. Didn't she put the semen in the cookies? What the fuck? Dennis Perkins, a former sheriff's deputy who is facing 150 criminal charges. How many people ate these cookies?
What
bro?
the fuck?
Many of which are also sex crimes. God damn. This is the guy. He look like Dana White. Yeah, what the hell?
He doesn't look like he eats pineapple.
Not at all. Them cookies. Them cookies must have been trash. Yeah, they filed for divorce. They were busted after authorities received a tip at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Definitely exploited. I don't know about missing. And investigators later found nude photos of them with the minor. All right, this is a gross story. Yeah. Wow. Shout out to cookies, but not the ones with semen in it. Yeah, that's a gross ass story.
Have you guys ever seen the trucks for the moving company Siemens Transportation?
Yeah.
Like who? Like why? And it's just like some like innocent looking girl just like holding a box, and it's like
because they want you to know they're moving at the top of speed they can. They'll get once you get that news, they'll be blasting that way.
It's a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Mm-hmm. And if you're lucky enough, nothing will break.
If you need your nut to get somewhere else, trust Siemens. You know what I'm trying to say? And then put in the number right here. All right, cool. Javi will do that.
I really won't.
Dad. Yeah, I'm about to, bro. I'm telling about my hard dick. All right. Let me read this second story to you because the second story is pretty interesting.
This third story.
Yeah. Semen Cookie was pretty much the third one. That's definitely going to be in the title for sure. So this is our four story episode. This story I figured would really intrigue you just because, the whole AI discussion, I think we've had it on different occasions, very loosely and stuff like that. But you really do good with like the VR news and like the Dungeons and Dragons things. Like I was really impressed with those news and everything because I feel like those, of course, they really wouldn't come my way, and when a lot of it I just don't understand. I really like. There's a lot of stuff with VR, like you'll say things, and that's when I feel like old fuck because I'm like, what the fuck is this and this and that. Even though I know just a good amount of it, and but I think this one has to do with generative AI, which you know what that means, assuming. And for those that don't know, things like ChatGPT, Dolly, basically what every artist is upset about, that it's mimicking their art or this and that, or it's going to lower the standard for other artists and stuff like that. So even before we begin, what do you think about generative AI in both the text-to-image and ChatGPT, the text-to-text or response engine?
Well, I mean, I'll just start off with ChatGPT because that's just the first thing that comes to mind is I've told you about this channel before, MKBHD. He's one of the like top YouTube channels out there. But he had a video about it where he actually kind of exposed ChatGPT for not being as accurate as like people thought it to be. And just kind of said in his video that like while it's a good resource, it shouldn't be a reliant. Like you shouldn't rely on this.
It's just like Google,
and
like to an extent, like you have to, if you're gonna try to find information, you should find it accurately. With
I mean, even to that, because like Google will give you better responses than ChatGPT is giving you.
Okay,
like it's more so when you, I'll say it's more so when you try to get into the specifics of things that ChatGPT will start like just creating answers for you. So when you're trying to get. Basically, what he was saying is that if you know the topic, don't ask ChatGPT because it's going to tell you stuff that is inaccurate or stuff that you already know. It's very low level, essentially.
For me, that's very reminiscent of, for some reason, I want to say Google, but I really think of like Siri and stuff or like Alexa. And I feel like even now when you ask Alexa some things, like it just tells you, I don't know, but just it'll be like, but you may want to hear this article about it, And I think you're right. And honestly, this article was real amazing. I was on Time Magazine, and I think it really breaks down that and a whole bunch more. And it opened my eyes to how to look at AI.
Yeah, I mean, I'll also just say that
go ahead.
That like with sort of ChatGPT and stuff, like knowing what you know, it's never going to give you what you want, or what you need, especially if you're like doing something that is time sensitive or you're working on a project. So again, it's just something you shouldn't rely on. But it's funny that you mentioned about the Google Assistant and Siri and stuff like that, because MKBHD also did a video where he basically battled all those assistants against each other. And the winner was the Google Assistant, where it was able to be more conversational, get more answers correct, be able to answer more things in a streak and things like that.
That's very interesting you bring that up. And that's very, you'll see why when I mention it later. That's very interesting.
Yeah, and so like it's just interesting to think of that. But even when it comes to sort of like Dolly and things like that and all this art AI, I'll just say, like, I definitely have my gripes as an artist.
Yeah.
As an artist, you know, any artist is gonna have their gripes with
AI.
AI.
I'm so great.
But
I'm so special.
But
I'm kidding. Of course you are. Any artist that's is special, but it's just funny. It's fun to poke fun at that shit too. You know what I mean? Like,
I'll just say, for anyone who's using like AI images as like their profile picture, go touch grass. Like,
I'm gonna do it right.
I'm gonna do it right. Everybody listen to that shit right now. Go to Javi, touch grass.
You can literally ask any talented artist to do that for you.
Yeah, and a lot more untalented artists.
You can ask anyone to do it for you. Like, fucking it. That just annoys me. But I have like seen that even for sort of this art AI, that it could be used as a sort of resource for artists that are struggling with certain concepts or are trying, or just like drawing a blank. Yeah. And then when it comes to that, I don't really have a problem with it, because it's like, if I can't imagine something in my head, like, I'll type it up and see what this spits out at me, and so that way I have reference, because many artists draw from reference. Well, it's not unheard of.
I think anything that an artist draws, and I won't say this is a complete accurate statement. I think anything an artist draws, creates, sculpts, anything like that, I think it's in reference to things that they've seen, but it's also how can I say, an outcome of all their past experiences, which I think the past experiences is what makes it the most unique, because the AI is the same way, you know what I mean? Obviously not what human experiences and this and that, but when you mentioned the first thing about the guy competing all the AIs together and see which one is the best one, the thing is about AI, and I'll repeat this later on, is that every time it's used, it's gaining more knowledge to make it better. So like within that process, he's only bettering AI, and like we're in such early stages of it with like the public availability that it's only gonna get better. Like every time you use it, it's gonna be better than the last one, like just realistically, and the millions of users. And so I think when it comes to like creating images, as long as it's not stealing art, which is kind of hard to do when you're kind of merging everything together, it's very interesting. And I still don't know how I feel about the art thing. I will say that the art thing is very hard to really.
I'm not gonna say that like I still don't really know how to feel about it, because like I just said, in when it comes to the idea of like people just using it to just take pictures and post it on Instagram, it's like you could get an artist to do that for you. Yeah,
but you also like. But why would you do that when you can use the AI to post? Because well, let me not say that, but it's just like, it's a fun little thing to do to like make an AI version of yourself. It's like a different form. Like you can get an artist to take a picture of you for sure. You could take a selfie of yourself, but it's just like, it's a unique form to make a way you'd look exist.
Yeah, but artists can do that. You don't need the AI to do that, which is just.
But you don't need an artist to do it either by that logic.
No, you don't. But it's just like you can just bring up the argument of like supporting your local artists and things like that, and so it's like, I
think that's a completely optional thing to do. I think when you
it is optional,
because artists should do it for free if they're doing it for passion.
I mean, I'll do it for free. Frankie,
I'm kidding completely. I'm kidding completely because I know it's a sensitive subject for artists. Realistically, too, I'm not even trying to like just to play devil advocate or whatever. I just say it in the sense of. I think it's like, remember we had the conversation about, it's funny that Brian's here because he was here for that conversation with the white person cooking Mexican food and being deemed a Mexican chef. So it's like your logic was like, if a lot of people are putting down the white chef for cooking Mexican food, that you would just say, well, if that was me, I would just be better. Like, isn't that logic here able to be instilled that like as an artist you should just be better.
Yeah, without a doubt. But that's also why I don't have a super strong stance about the topic.
But in general, to all artists, right? Like, isn't this their moment to step it up? Because I mean, in general, art is such a competitive area in terms of like making a living, like not to be like rich, but to just make it a living where you can do it comfortably at your own pace, in your own style, and exist being an artist. I think with the AI and everything,
broke artists and there are rich artists
for sure. But I mean, that's just the reality of the world, because there are a lot of rich, shitty artists and a lot more talented, not relevant people. And that's not because the art is bad. That's just because the selectivity of people and wealth and like how they interpret art is just very, very
different. It's just different.
Not different, but just selective, I guess. I know I used selective twice. It's just, I think there's a lot of romanticization as opposed to real hard work, grit, grind, and opportunity. You know what I mean? There's so much artists because I think everybody can be an artist. Like, not everybody can be an accountant. Not everybody can be a president. Everybody can be an artist. Like, because when you draw,
it's like gender identity. Just identify as an artist.
Go touch your fucking grass, Harvey. No. I think it's and again, I myself am, I would say this, like, even doing this podcast, like, you can be an artist in that way. You can be an artist in many ways. You know what I mean? When I wake up with my hard dick in the morning, like, I'm an artist.
You're like, wow, what a piece of art.
I'm just gonna keep mentioning it because it's the most personal thing I've put on the podcast, which is hilarious. But I think
I can talk about my dick too if you want me to.
We want to talk about dicks.
If you don't want to feel alone, like,
nah, fuck your dick, bro.
I mean, say less.
But I turned this AI on. All right, but ultimately, when I was reading the article, I thought it was going in the direction of this conversation, like speaking about how it's gonna diminish the modern artist and this and that. But this is a lot more interesting because it real gets into the depth of AI, its impact, and the future it's coming about, and the real in depth of the companies overseeing it. But it honestly speaking, reading this article, and I'll start right now, it gave me a better understanding and a balanced view of how artists and AI should feel like together, coexisting and stuff.
I mean, before you do
get
into
it,
I'll
say what you gotta say.
I'll just finish off with just like my sort of stance is just that I don't have a strong stance on it. I genuinely don't. Like, while I might say that I don't really like that people use these AI images on like Instagram and things like that and whatever, I understand it's fun to do that, but to like, I guess, to show it off and be like, oh, look at this, look at me, but this way and this and that, just rubs me the wrong way. But I understand, like, like I mentioned before, in the same regard, artists who could use it to create reference, to draw from reference, who are drawing blanks on certain things, who can't literally imagine certain things. So
wouldn't that be plagiarism though, if you use AI to show you something and then you want to base something off that? Isn't that just plagiarism to the AI? Or like,
well, that's just drawing from reference, and many like talented artists, like even for the A.M.C section.
But the comics you said, right? Like they'll see a picture of a person and they'll draw them in that form and everything. Which comic was that?
That's just almost all
just in general. But there are certain artists that use that method, right?
Yeah. So it's like at that point, are you going to say that they're just copying other pieces? Like, yeah, well, no, but I mean, you could really say that, but it's just at the end of the day, it's just the term of it is that they're drawing from reference. And so, like, to use AI to create reference, I can understand. I can totally, completely understand that. So that's why I don't have a set stance on it, because I'm just kind of like, I can see the benefits, but I could also see the disadvantages of AI coming into the art space. Okay. All right, cool. I really want to continue that conversation, but I want to do more research, especially because I really think it's a very much what's the word? It incites a lot of emotion in artists, and I very much like to bring a conversation that does that, because I think when you're emotional, you're more passionate, and when you're passionate, you're more truthful. And sometimes you just say what you think rather than just say something wild, racist. Nazis, man. I mean, can't we just be them? AI is like fucking Hitler, man. Correct. And that's actually another point I'm making here. So let me start because I think this is such a great article.
Okay, and cut me off whenever you want to because I think this is great. You too, Brian, if you want to say some shit. So AI today is being used to prepare tax returns, debugging code, providing health advice, and sketching architectural blueprints. They also assemble cars, respond to emails, and price medicine in houses. Quote, chatbots like GPT are powered by large amounts of data and computing techniques to make predictions to string words together in a meaningful way. They not only tap into a vast amount of vocabulary and information, but also understand words in context. This helps them mimic speech patterns while dispatching an encyclopedic knowledge. That's Insider Magazine. Okay. DALL-E and DALL-E 2, spelled DALL-E and DALL-E 2, are deep learning models developed by OpenAI to generate digital images from natural language descriptions called prompts. Basically text to image. So you can write like Harry Styles on a banana floating through Mars, and it'll come up with all its sources from the internet to give you the most accurate depiction in many different ways. And I think we talked about it like a while back before it really got huge. I reached out to Red Band because that's where I learned it from. And when I saw it happening in real time, I was baffled. I think I showed you the video.
Covered that as well when it first came out.
It's real amazing stuff. And regardless of anything, it is very amazing. I think so. Like for the technology to be that advanced right now, especially with this AI voice stuff, like people making Biden, voices and stuff like that.
Even with like the
anybody,
the Nixon speech that I showed last episode.
Exactly, man. So stuff like that is real impressive. All right. So in January, ChatGPT reached 100 million month user rates, a faster rate of adoption than Instagram and TikTok. Certain forecasters predict that the global economy can generate $15 trillion by 2030 due to AI, which is crazy.
Damn.
There's a lot of money. Let me get $1. Companies like Google and Microsoft are within their own race to generate the better AI. And this whole concept, I look at it as like the race to the moon from Russia and the US and stuff like that. Google presented its developed AI on Twitter called Bard, which is described as a launchpad for curiosity, quote, a launchpad for curiosity, end quote, and search tool to, quote, help simplify complex topics. So have you heard of Bard?
I haven't.
So you mentioned Google Assistant earlier, right? So for me, I wasn't going to do this topic to begin with because I read some other article, boring as fuck. But it talked about Google Assistant, and it's not the strongest. I mean, the MK, what's the name I say?
MKBHD.
Yeah, from what they say, from if he says it's the best one, but from what I've read, Google Assistant is not at all like close to being the best one today,
Okay.
From what I've read. But it's funny that you mentioned that Google Assistant won this because so an ad shown by Google and accompanied by a GIF was a question to Bard. The question and Bard is from Google, from its parent company Alphabet, right? So Google is owned by Alphabet, and this is all coming down to Bard, which is a generative AI through Google, to be really descriptive. The ad was by Google and accompanied by a GIF with a question to Bard. The question was, quote, what new discoveries from the James Webb Space Telescope can I tell my 9-year-old about? End quote. Bard, a chatbot, responded with bullet points, with one being that the James Webb Space Telescope was the first to take pictures of planets outside the Earth's solar system, which are exoplanets. This particular bullet point was incorrect because the James Webb Telescope wasn't the first to see exoplanets. In fact, the European Southern Observatory's telescope was actually the first to accomplish this in 2004.
Okay.
The reason I bring this up is that because of this one mistake, Google's parent company Alphabet lost $100 billion in market value.
Oof.
That's a lot of fucking money for getting one thing wrong.
Yeah.
And I asked my friend June at work, shout out to June, I was like, why do you think they lost so much money off like this one answer being incorrect? And he was like, you don't understand how many people are relying on AI technology today. And I'm referencing right now everything I just said in the beginning, the price of medicine, the houses, the architecture, everything, right? $100 billion was lost because this AI got one question wrong about a telescope. It's crazy to me.
Yeah,
$100 billion.
It's like MKBHD said in his video. Like what I mentioned is that you shouldn't be reliant on these AIs.
Yeah, but then I get more into it later on. I think that's like hold that thought, right? So their shares momentarily lowered by 9%, and Microsoft shares rose by 3%. Microsoft has invested $10 billion into OpenAI, OpenAI is the startup engine that created ChatGPT and DALL-E. Those two when I mentioned earlier. Microsoft hopes to include the generative AI into its search engine Bing and Office software. Some believe that generative AI could be as huge as when the first iPhone was announced. or I think Microsoft Office, one of those.
Mm-hmm.
But the iPhone was the best reference for I think people that are listening now. Although generative AI has been in the works for quite some time, a huge concern has been its potential to involve hate speech, misinformation, and more within that nature while it's being used. This Tay chatbot was released by Microsoft in 2016, but
I've mentioned that on the show before.
It became Holocaust denying, so they shut it down. And it took less than 24 hours for it to tweet, "Hitler was right, I hate the Jews, and that feminists should all die and burn in hell."
Yeah.
That's crazy. AI today works through a neural network, which is a computing paradigm based off the human brain. See, these are things I didn't know. So I'm gonna repeat that again. This is why I really very much like this article, because it helps me understand what AI is in a much more like drained way where I can really understand. So AI today works through a neural network, which is a computing paradigm based off the human brain. The way neural networks work is by consistently teaching themselves to spot patterns within data. Therefore, they're able to function much more when fed data and computing power. Before DALL-E was made widely available, OpenAI only released it to a group of trusted users in order to, quote, understand and address the biases that DALL-E has inherited from its training data. Another company, so basically they were like, let's hold off. Let's hold off for a bit. Let's let the people that aren't going to put in like swastikas and shit in the, the text to image shit. And let's trust a couple people to use our stuff for now. And people were aggravated. They were like, we want to use this AI already, right? So another company was like, fuck it. It was called Stability AI is the company, and they released Stable Diffusion, which is a text-to-image generative AI. And unlike DALL-E and similar companies, that was available to everyone immediately. And it was believed that this would be a move that would help other companies develop their own AI through collected information from Stable Diffusion. Basically saying that the more people that use this will help other companies develop their AI, because the main basis of everything is that the more you use the AI and the more the world uses the AI, the better it's going to be. That's the main point of everything, right? AI will go on to be used to form blueprints for architects, AI-based script for colors, and develop quizzes and articles for publications, and even won an art competition. Somebody used AI to win an art competition, which I thought was pretty impressive. With AI's popularity rising, companies like Microsoft, Google, and more are rushing to release, and one take on it mentioned that it's, quote, prioritizing speed over safety. That's from Time Magazine. Deepfakes are also a huge concern with AI. And you want to explain what deepfakes are?
It's just recreating someone's face or voice.
In any scenario.
Voice.
It could be like a violent scenario. It could be in a sexual scenario. It could be in like political or this and that.
Yeah, and, just recreating their face and voice to just
very
do
realistic.
Whatever you want.
Yeah. And a vital example was one of Joe Biden talking shit about transgender people. That was a very viral one that went around. That he was like, they mimicked the voice and the face and everything, and it sounded like he was talking bad about transgenders.
I didn't see that.
Crazy stuff. Lawsuits are also arising from the AI using artists' work without their permission. And this is something that I read that I'm interpreting. So a concern I read about and I'm interpreting because I was a little confused was that news outlets will have difficulty competing with AI that spews news. Basically one mega AI that would gather all the info from the media and display it to whoever visit or uses that AI. So my thought is that I'm assuming they're saying that news outlets will have a problem with AI because the AI will be the one source collecting all the news and putting it into one tunnel. Does that make sense?
I mean, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, so I interpreted it good. Big companies that release this generative AI for free do it at a cost, but with long-term benefit. OpenAI is able to bear the cost of every chat occurring due to Microsoft's financial investment in them. So, like Instagram and other things, this ChatGPT and all this stuff, they're able to function more for free because Microsoft is investing, companies are investing. That's their scheme for a lot of other things, And if smaller companies attempt to do this, like to mimic the strategy, they will lose money drastically in comparison with a difficult point of recovery. So they're not able to afford it like ChatGPT can because they have investors. This AI being free allows usage to skyrocket, and with the consumer base dependent on few options of generative AI. But this month, OpenAI brought in a $20 a month charge, but for a subscription tier of chatbot. So now you can pay for like a higher up tier to use chatbot.
Yeah,
I know DALL-E it was free initially, but you can only use like $15 worth of like you could use it, but you can only make a certain amount of searches every like day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like it limited a good amount. The irony is that with large dependency on AI from information by the people, will blur what is actual misinformation or advertisements in the future in regards to any information. The explicit goal.
I'll just say like,
go ahead.
This just kind of almost sounds like early days of the internet of like, well, just not even early days, but just I guess in general the internet. It's just like.
No, but the internet, like, I think, was so revolutionary in how it changed everything.
No, of course. I backtracked on that idea just because I was thinking of like, in the early days, like we all kind of dealt with that misinformation of like the fact that people could change whatever they wanted on Wikipedia and things like that. And people just would accept whatever they saw on the internet, like back in the day. But then, what? And that's why I backtrack on it because even today people still are like that, especially older people.
Yeah, like the lady you said who couldn't figure out her shit and everything.
Yeah, like older people are like I've seen like the meme and stuff of like how parents used to tell us to not trust everything we see on the internet, but now I'm telling my parent the same thing. Yeah, and it's like that is entirely true.
I look at the internet like when they invented the wheel, and I look at AI as if when they invented the car. You get me?
Okay.
Like it's a more enhanced version of what, but the wheel changed everything. Ideologically speaking, like to transfer things and stuff like that. But the internet, you literally went from being a caveman to like access to the world, like to email somebody in fucking Siberia, And so,
shout out to Siberia.
Shout out to my Siberians and Turkey.
Turkey.
Rest in peace, a lot of people. This was a quote from the book, and I think I want your take on this. Quote, the explicit goal of many of these AI companies, including OpenAI, is to create an artificial general intelligence, or AGI, that can think and learn more efficiently than humans. If future AIs gain the ability to rapidly improve themselves without human guidance or intervention, they could potentially wipe out humanity. An off-sided thought experiment is that of an AI that, following a command to maximize the number of paper clips it can produce, makes itself into a world-dominating superintelligence that harvests all the carbon at its disposal, including from a life on Earth. In a 2022 survey of AI researchers, nearly half of the respondents said that there was a 10% of greater chance that AI could lead to such a catastrophe. So basically, I know that was a little jumbled up and whatever.
Okay.
Basically saying AI can fucking dominate the world if it's able to. And I really realized how true that was. But then when you look at the basis of how much is going to be used, how much is going to be involved from like learning from us. And this next point, actually, no, let me just say the next points and then we'll continue. To avoid this quote world domination, some techs are developing AIs to grow with human value within it. So they want to basically raise the AI, but with the association of human value along its,
nature,
frequency.
Nurture.
Yeah. But only 80 to 120 researchers are developing AI with this in mind. Because there is such a race to develop the best generative AI, others may not have this human value aspect prioritized. So only 80 to 120 people are basically like iRobot type shit, like trying to make a robot be like an iRobot. For those who haven't seen the movie, like think like a human, I think therefore I am type shit. But other ones just wanted to advance no matter what. And so what's the other side of the 80 to the 120 that don't give a fuck how it generates as long as they can make money? My last 2 points is that
that definitely connects a lot to not even iRobot, but Blade Runner.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it just all those dystopian, but yeah, definitely Blade Runner with everything else. A big fear of AI's success and implementation to society is how it may turn big tech into the capital empire through its widespread usage and financial gain. And lastly, the leaders of OpenAI and DeepMind have hinted that they'd like the wealth and power emanating from AI to somehow be redistributed, right? The big tech executives who control the purse strings, on the other hand, are primarily accountable to their shareholders. So it's like every company, like, no, we want to give back to the community, but like, really, what are you going to do with that money and stuff? So that's pretty much the whole AI. And my whole thing when it comes down to not being reliant on it, it's like, I get that, and you shouldn't be right now. But when it starts getting like much more advanced, like it may be a valuable source to rely on because it's learned so much from your mistakes. Like it's inevitably gonna get things that were wrong and correct because it's gonna learn from those things. And with it being used in so many different areas, You know, right now it may not be good, but 5 years from now and 10 years from now, like you put a kid in college for 12 years is gonna learn something. You put an AI with constant algorithmic, you know, adaptations to everything. It has to get more things correct than it did previously, especially if we're angling it that way.
Yeah, I mean,
you know?
logically it makes sense.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
logically, that's like, yeah, that's how it should go.
Yeah,
like that.
I mean, that's how it's going. Like,
Yeah,
you know, that's not. It's not like hypothetical within this scenario. Like it's truthful and actual.
Like it with most things that this seems pretty natural.
Yeah.
It's just of the growth of it, and
that's the scariest thing, how natural it is for something that's so artificial. You know,
and that's where a lot of this conversation comes into play of just even questioning. Yeah, don't rely on it now, but rely on it later.
Yeah,
it's like. When does that line blur of how much do we rely on technology as human beings? Because
I mean, we already do completely. Like, look at this scenario we're in. We're headphones in our ears,
exactly,
microphones, laptop, phones.
It's just I only bring that up because for some people they don't want to give that up.
Absolutely.
And so I just think that's so interesting. It's just like. AI is such a brand new technology in a world that is still developing.
We're always developing, though. We're never not developing.
Yeah, and it makes me so curious of just like the people that are more tech illiterate. How do they feel about AI? Do they even understand how it works?
I think people who are younger than us will understand it way more. You know, I know you're very tech savvy, and I don't consider myself that tech savvy, even though I am more than like people who are older than me. But when I look at like younger people, like they're incredibly tech savvy because they've been using technology from literally the moment they can experience the world, you know, like, and I think that's real interesting. And eventually it'll become second nature. And like with coding and stuff like that, like there's a program that I didn't write down. I didn't understand it, but it can like translate speech to coding. And it's crazy.
Really?
That's
Holy
fucking
shit.
crazy, man. So like little things like that, I'm like baffled.
That almost makes me think of, again, that scene in Blade Runner when he's controlling the camera thing.
Yeah, he's like go
2,
to
4,
this,
6, 7
and it goes
enhance.
That's
it's
a good
like
scene.
those voice commands and shit like that. Yeah, that could happen. And it's like, no, that AI go crazy.
What do you think, Brian? What do you think about it?
AI go burr.
At the beginning, like when you were talking about how even like art to like AI or like, you know, how you're talking about artists. Well, it was funny because I remember like back when I was bartending, I was meeting a lot of people that were just starting to get into like photography, right?
Okay.
And then, you know, the big thing came out with like filters, with filters with you know, the camera and Instagram and stuff like that. And photographers be like, yo, I spent 4 years in college to learn like the mechanics of a camera, and now your iPhone or Samsung could do all that. And then with the filter too now. And it's crazy because it's like normally now we can't even tell if it was done by a camera, like a specialized camera, like a camera like a Canon or whatever.
Yeah.
Or someone's iPhone or Samsung. Like it's just ridiculous. Like I like, for example, like my background picture is like the moon of the red, but it's because I could zoom in like 15 times.
Android did have some trickery with the moon taking photos because they definitely enhanced it, right? There are some features in Android that I'm not knocking it down, but even that's proving your point that the moon photos that they advertised, it would attribute its own effects to enhance the moon's how it looks.
So what it is basically that it scans the whatever picture or whatever image it shows on your screen, and it enhances it to be like, okay, well, this is how it would look like without blurriness and stuff. Like I have it on my phone too. Like I have pictures of the moon myself. And I'm so shocked, like, yo, I can't believe I could zoom in. Like, back then when I was younger. And I guess it goes to the possibilities of, like, your age and stuff like that, because you've seen technology grow, right? I was just, remember talking to this guy, like, yo, I spent 4 years in college, like be a photographer and stuff like that. And it's like, well, if I was just born, like, maybe, like, 6 years later, I wouldn't have to do it if I still had to say. But it also comes down to passion now. Like, what do you want to do? You know, like.
Yeah, I mean, there was a moment where one time where we Lucas, Frankie, and I got into a conversation about that with photography because Lucas's camera that he was using was a black and white camera, and Lucas was showing Frankie all the photos that he took, and Frankie was like, "Yeah, but like you can just do this on an iPhone,"
right?
And I was just like, we were just trying to get the point across of like. yeah, you can do this on an iPhone, but to do it on a camera isn't just a simple point and shoot.
Yeah.
To get those results on a camera is more work.
And then again, like, and that's where you explain passion and like how some people would do it for free, but then you think about it, it's like people want to make a career out of this. Yeah. And like you have to make money and survive. Like, like this guy was like, yo, it's crazy because like, I mean, realistically, I went to school for this. I'm paying off this debt, and like I figured my pictures would pay that off. But now, like, I don't even have to spend so much. It kind of was like a little blessed because like at least I don't have to spend so much on the camera because I can have it on the palm of my hand. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's also like kind of sucks the fun out of it. Like it was almost like it was going down his own demise. We're like, well, damn, like it's not funny though because and I get it. But then I get that's his dilemma. Other people could view it very differently. It's all perspective, like how you said. But it comes down to like, is that going to make him money or not?
Yeah.
And it's the way he's making the money because
it also just comes down to the person of like of how much money, of like if you even care about money and things like that.
And same thing. There was another guy who would make he did music, and so he made beats.
Okay.
So like in order to like get recognition, he would just sell his rights for like $5 to like apps that needed like beats or like background music. And obviously, like let's say you're playing like I don't know like a Temple Run or something like that. Like that music was probably bought off like some person for dirt cheap, right? Or better yet, now for the point across for AI, like a company could literally just be like, oh, I want this type of music to be like, oh, okay, I want like, oh, mellow, I want scary, I want to fit this app. And all the company has to do is just.
What happens when AI makes music? Like, what happens when they make a best-selling album? Because then like you actually will enjoy it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, say like a Michael Jackson type album or something, and like not on the same sound, but like if you like it, music is one of those things where like you can't resist it. Exactly. So what if it makes like 12 straight hits and what if AI makes the best-selling album in the world?
I mean, it's crazy because like all the AI has to do is just integrate the top selling albums of what certain decades and be like, oh well, this is the best album now for this decade because it's like
people like this, so let's do this.
And it's like another thing that like really caught my attention was also like when he was doing text to speech, right? So there are programs now that like you could write out an essay, where let's say you do an essay for school. You don't have to type it up. You could just say it. I think there's a program for that where you could just say it, and it'll just change the words to be more like sophisticated or to change. Yeah,
like Grammarly is one of them. Yeah.
And now, but like imagine saying it, and it just switches up the words so it sounds more like it sounds smarter or sounds more again like you'd be like, oh wow, this guy's very intellectual.
Yeah, I mean, like I'll just say even to that, like as an English major, that stuff kind of also bothers me.
No, of course, 100%. And I would agree too, because now like for me like my grammar and punctuation horrible, but if I had that program, I'd probably be like, oh shit, I wish I had that, when I was younger, But then again, I probably wouldn't learn, or maybe I would, like if I had to reread over it.
Yeah, because that's just my argument about that with like the Grammarly stuff and things like that. Those sorts of apps of just like. You're just letting someone do it for you, where it's like you're not even learning. You're just giving up. Like, okay, you do it for me.
Yeah, but I mean, again, that's the thing too. Like now, even when you have to write down essays, for example, like, or maybe you have to make a debate, like, or you have to do a cause and effect article or a paragraph, or you have to find the perfect thesis. But to start every paragraph, like you can literally put it in AI, and it'll give you like, oh, maybe you should start your sentence like this, and it's crazy because like. That's when it's almost like no kids are actual learning. Kids are gonna be dumb in a sense because they understand that the AI can do it for them.
Yeah,
which causes like again, I see it in like today's kids too. Like now, like the math too. Like it won't be top of the head. They could literally just ask their phone like, "Hey Google, what's?" And I'll be like,
there are definitely apps that like you can just take pictures of math equations and it'll just solve it for you.
That type of AI is crazy because it's like. Yeah, because it's like not only just our art, it's like the way kids are learning. Like that's gonna like they'll be tech savvy, but how much would they know? Like most kids won't even know how to tell time through
analog.
Yeah, like
what if in the future when like all this advanced technology is able to be used by children, like not through phones, like through phones I think is a more prehistoric way in terms of the future of how we're gonna do like math through the technology. But what if like they're able to access that, information, that ability, let's just say, to do math real fast? Like, it's not that it would be unnecessary to learn math, but it would be like the camera thing you said with the whole black and white. Yeah, you can cherish, learning how to do a formula and stuff like that. But if you're able to just do it fast, the whole point isn't to diminish the craft and the art form. It really is to make it more accessible to everyone, and like, yeah, you can say like, oh, who cares about like the Pythagorean theorem? But then it's like, but then people can do their own taxes. People can do like finance themselves better. Like you won't need financial advisors, or, like you'll have the app to do that, or like the AI to do that. So like, would it make the world better if it diminishes? I mean, it'll probably make intelligence less, but if you have technology, you have all the intelligence, which I know is like a little dystopic to say, but like, think about that. What do you think?
Even now, I mean, like accountants, for example, we have our accountants, but like, again, we could go to Credit Karma, take pictures of our tax reform, and they'll do it for us. But in the future, it would be no, and definitely so. And it's like, what scares me, it's like that I'm not against this, that like, what are going to be the jobs that we do? How are we as a society gonna, like, because I've seen already videos of like the IHOP that has that robotic waiter that goes around.
Yeah,
I've seen the robotic bartender. It's like, where it's like they make the drinks right then and there. Now for bartending, I don't know. I think there's a that one. I feel, human connection is like that shit that really counts. But accounting, again, like you could take a picture of your tax returns or tax forms, and it'll just do it for you.
Yeah.
And so accounting, like H&R Block, like at the end of the day, you're not gonna need people anymore. You're just gonna need a picture, like literally, like something. And then even to then, like imagine the AI goes like, whoa, like you're missing a tax form, or like, hey, like maybe to get more tax return, you should do this. Now it's giving you more suggestions because it's getting more advanced. And now, like I remember, there's, again, and for teaching wise, there's two types of teachers. One that teaches through computers, and one that actually tries to make a human connection. And I remember my teacher would just literally go on a website, and he would literally click, and he'd be like, "Oh, this is how you learn. This is how you do trigonometry." And I was like, "What the fuck?" Like, if that's the case, I gotta just stay at home. You get me? But there was another teacher like, "Oh yeah, let me tell you about Constant Napoleon, like because of this," and he made it into a story. Like that's this, But like it comes to the idea of like, are we gonna get less smart, or are we just gonna have all the information accessible? And it's like, well, would that make us smart? And I remember the whole argument would be like, well, you have to know how to do the math, or like you have to know how to think
for yourself,
or think differently, like the way you solve problems.
Critical thinking.
Exactly. But it's not, if you're going to think the same way, I mean, like it's going to be a little insane, because it's like now we're going to have that one idea, we're going to share that same idea.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say, even to that, just that idea of like, I've always pushed for this, where I just feel like in education in general, schools should be teaching critical thinking more than anything.
Yeah.
Because while it's cool and all and whatever to learn this and that and shit you're never going to use, but it's just with critical thinking, if you teach someone how to think for themselves, they can go miles.
Yeah.
They can go miles
100%,
with that.
Yeah.
And it's just, there in education today, we don't teach that. And with something on the rise like AI that can stunt that even more, is a very scary thing to think about.
But with that in mind, and what you said in mind, Brian, now like let's take the things that you can just Google within consideration, right? Math, history, right? Your core values, of course, being like English, speaking, putting together how to talk and stuff like that. Those things, no AI is gonna fix how you talk unless you're Stephen Hawking, But when you consider what you're saying, critical thinking, if AI was able to overcome these, things that you'll never use in life, like, stats, if you're not going to be a statistician or this and that, if you're able to lessen these and like these subjects in school more, you can make more time for critical thinking. You can make more time for philosophy, for music, for art. And now, while in this time period, it'll make artists like struggle a little more. If AI is able to free up more time by letting you do things much easier through its technology, wouldn't artists have more time not being like baristas or like, cashiers or like truck drivers and have more time to work on themselves.
I mean, definitely that sounds nice.
Yeah,
that also.
But let me finish this thought.
Okay.
Today I was talking to Cameron, right, and he said, and it's crazy. He said that he was like, what do you? I complimented his comic books, and I was like, yeah, man, like you're really good at them. He's like, yeah, I hope that one day I don't have to be doing this, and I could just work on my comics. And just to back to that point, like, wouldn't this, like, all these jobs being taken, at first it sounds real scary and dystopian, but in the future, in a real world where government isn't trash, wouldn't you have more time to work on what you actually want to do? Like, does that make a little sense? Say what you were gonna say.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say that, like, that sounds nice and all, but that definitely sounds like something that would come down more to a systemic value.
Yeah,
like it would have to really, like, we would have to change things at a systemic value for as a society to maneuver like that. And so it's just, I wish we could do that. I wish we could just, like, sort of use AI to lessen the things that are not as important to us. But it's just, you never know what's gonna click for someone.
I think it comes down to that, like what you said. Like, I think it just comes down to, like, the culture, society. I don't know. It's just like, again, I always keep this thing in mind. This comment I remember, it was like a Reddit post, and it was like saying, "What does America? How do people outside of America feel about Americans?" And
I think I saw
and
this.
it's like, oh yeah, people. The way America looks at Florida is the way, like,
we all look at the rest of.
And then it was like very interesting because they were like, oh yeah, it's because, like, you guys think that the world revolves around you, and I do 100% think that. I think that we as America as a whole, like, we do. Yeah. I really do think that we feel like it revolves around us. And then when you see other countries, the way they have used technology and stuff like that, definitely for the worse or for the better. I think it's just crazy. Like, if you look at, like, there's this, I was gonna mention, there's this YouTuber who calls back the scammers, the people that scam and ask you for, like, your social security, or, like, ask you, like, please pay your car innocent bill right now, or else they're gonna, like, cut it off right now. And so what he does is he uses the technology that he has, the AI, to track their location, get their money, all the money that they scammed, and he takes it from them. And I'm just like, what the hell? Like, I remember seeing a whole video of it, and I was like, what? But then again, it's because, like, it was this Middle Eastern country that was, like, that was scamming, like, like, it was dead, like, it was just scamming. But he used the technology for good. It was just like, like, all the money that he took from the scammers, he donates it. Like, he shows, like, they had like $40,000 in their bank. I was able to wire it to my bank, and so I'm gonna, like, donate it to charity.
Okay.
And you get me? Like, it was like, and this is all a YouTube, like, channel, and I was just like, what the fuck? Like, it just came across it. They don't want, like, one of those.
You're like, I was not expecting this.
Yeah, literally. And then again, but then you see people using technology for good, and it's like, okay, like, the way they're improving their transportation, like, again, like, Japan, like, the way they're. I remember you guys brought up in the episode about the like, anti-suicide barriers.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Japan, yeah, and then Japan has been doing that already for, like, about 10 years now.
Yeah,
probably maybe a little less or maybe more. But I mean, I remember when I went, and, like, I saw the barriers just magnetically go up, and I was like, what is this? This is like, the technology is insane. So I do really think it, like, stems on how we are, and because America is so big, and especially the South, the way their education is going, or, like, their leadership is going. I think it really, again, it depends on, like, how we teach it and how we, like, understand as a society or community.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think New York, I think what really hurts us is, like, the way we fund technology.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that we don't, like, appreciate it, it's just the way we fund it. And places like the South, it's like they don't fund it at all, or they want to go back to, like, fucking, like, the 60s,
tablets, stone tablets.
Yeah, and then like, I know in California, it's like, well, celebrities always fund back their schools, so they always get all the technologies too. It's
very unequal.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. And then you see private schools that get tablets to take home and stuff like that. So I think it does depend on, like, a society sense, or, like, how we act as a society culture. But I always think back, like, again, like, what the countries that are advanced and countries that, like, take their technology serious, like, how are they teaching it? So that's something, that really kind of like comes about, especially with laws too. Like that's why we have people like in Russia hacking us or whatever like that, because there's no like laws preventing them from doing it. You know.
Shout out to Edward Snowden.
Yeah.
Also, Ukraine suffered a big. I want to talk about this in the future episode, but they're basically getting a lot of their information just wiped off because of like cyber hackers and stuff like that. And I think in 2016 as well, one of the most major like events of it happened. But now during this Ukraine-Russia thing, Russia is fucking with them so much, like in terms of malware or whatever that fucking means, like those things. And I think it's interesting. I remember when Jordan was here and we talked about it. It was when we started with Smash Mouth. I don't know if you remember that episode. We had a real good conversation about like how we are in America and how we are in different countries. And I just remember saying something along the lines of like, I wish I could remember it because it was, I think I made a good point. That it was just like, yeah, in America, we're very ethnocentric and we very much, think the world revolves around us. But in some extent, like, we're able to do what we can in this country because like we're able to do what we can because we don't have to worry about like war or like, this morning, and it's so kind of coincidental. This morning I was walking around and I was walking back to work actually. And I was like, I'm so happy I don't live in a, places that a war is affecting me personally because there's war happening around, like I don't have to worry about getting shot. You know what I mean?
But you get shit thrown on you by a homeless guy. So,
facts. No, that's a fact. That's a fact. Yeah, we're not perfect at it, but the fact that like you could play soccer and aspire to be a good soccer player. Like we can make this podcast and be aspire to have a good podcast. You can make comics and aspire to be a comic. Like we're able to do all these things. We're in different countries. You're not really allowed to do that. And like with Japan being so advanced and stuff like that, like they're also very flawed when you really think about like how misogynistic they are and how like it still is that tier of man. I mean, it's not that it's not existing here, but like there's people fighting constantly in America that are women, and a lot of women have taken great positions. The DA in New York City is a woman. You know what I mean? And I was reading that in an article in a local newspaper the other day, and not that makes up for everything, but I just think that America gets a bad rep by Americans. You know what I mean? And I think the funny thing about Americans is that we love to shit on ourselves. And like, you don't understand how much that is a freedom in itself. Like try doing that shit in Russia. Try doing that shit in China. You know what I mean? Like, that's such a privilege, to be able to do that. And it's a great one, to be able to like talk shit about your own government.
We're the best country
ever
because we can talk about whatever the fuck we want to talk about, whenever the fuck we want to talk about.
Honestly, yeah, man.
And if we want to talk about Frankie's hard dick in the morning, we can do that. All right.
Dead ass. And North Korea too.
I mean, no, I was just saying to that, even that, I mean, like the countries that had that freedom of speech and stuff like that I think we should all be applauded to have it, like I think I do genuinely think like if you're allowed to speak on it, like you have your own opinion, I think that's very important. I think we're one of many countries that, well, not many countries, but certain few countries that allow it. And so to the certain few, like, yeah, we could do it. And it's like, I think we just, again, we have this rep and we give ourselves a rep. And then but again, like that ego is fine because of the things we have. Like, I think it's fine. But I just, again, like I said, depending on how we do things, so like depending on how we, like in terms of this technology, going back to technology, it's like depending on how we do it and depending on how we're teaching it, it's gonna that's gonna really be like the milestone for like the people that are like 10 years later, or even the kids now. Like, I mean, like we have someone that has a kid, and I always think like, damn, like, they're probably gonna learn something way different.
Yeah, I mean, to sort of like pull it back to AI, just like I think was just something that like I feel like could be recognized by most people is that right now in time with AI, it's a very malleable time.
Yeah.
Meaning that there are a lot of variants, a lot of variables going on right now. We don't really know what's going to happen yet. All we can do is contemplate and talk about it.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. I mean, that's again like that's what like. My head is always into like, oh, it's gonna be the Matrix, like AI is gonna take over the world and we're gonna live as like batteries for like AI, or it could be like, we could have a very organized society where we could like literally use it in our favor. We don't fuck up, but that's also good for wishing and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean that's also a possibility too.
We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. All we know is that Frankie's gonna wake up tomorrow hard as fuck,
hard as dick. Frankie's gonna wake up with a tent in his bed.
I mean, like, what's poking my ear?
I'm never talking about my dick ever again. This is the art piece that won the award. It's I'm assuming it's of an AI drawing a human face. There's not enough room to show the whole thing, even when you go full screen. But that's the art piece that won the award.
Okay.
And Yeah, I think it's. First of all, I want to shout out to the author of this article because the writer. It's by Andrew R. Chow and Billy Perigo. It was in the Time, and the article is called "The AI Arms Race is Changing Everything," and I think it's very interesting. I think that was a really cool conversation we just had. It had a lot of shit in there, man. I thought it makes up for my hard dig, and and yeah, man, it makes I'm not standing up.
Super hard.
I'm about to burst through this table, bro, and yeah, and I think that you put it perfectly with saying how this upcoming time period is going to be very malleable and everything's going to, and if it goes the right way, hopefully it can get to that point. The last thing I'll say is that, given the thought I gave earlier with, artists being able to do what they want, everybody being able to do what they want, I think art will be more valuable in the future than it is now. I think so. I really think so, because right now I think with like social media and stuff, anybody can distribute their art to their own people they know. And for me, with anything, especially with this podcast and stuff, a lot of people that we know, the people that we know that listen, I really cherish you, like every single one of you, like for sure, like that's a real true thing. But realistically, like with anything, whether I'm selling like wallets or like a calendar or like this, I rather people. I mean, the calendar thing I did for charity, so those cool people did it, but I rather sell to people that don't know me. If I make a movie or I write a book or like do this podcast, I want strangers to listen. Because, strangers are going to give you that real feedback. Like, this shit sucks. So this shit is good. And if we can get like 13 strangers to like listen to the show and hit us up and be like, hey, we'd like the show. It's really, So I think with that in the future, I think today with social media, everybody's able to distribute to the people that are most like them. Mm-hmm. But of course, there are the outliers. And like with photography to Instagram, that's basically the same thing now with art to AI. But people are still making a success out of it. So artists basically, do better.
Keep doing what you're doing,
bitches.
Work hard, motherfuckers.
Except you, Arthur.
Except you, Alvin.
Bitch ass motherfuckers. But yeah, bro, that was 3 pop topics, and damn, bro. I mean, that was a real good conversation, man. I'm not gonna lie.
It was all right.
Yeah, it was whatever.
It was okay. You're kind of hyping it up.
Nah, that was good.
Let's talk more about your dick.
Yeah. So, like, were you more hard today or more hard yesterday?
Honestly, both equivalent.
Okay.
You circumcised?
I'm not getting that personal, motherfucker. But if you want to know, just don't ask me. Shit. Anyway, but yeah, that's our fun conversation on the 3 topics. I think they were pretty good. How he says, all right.
They were okay.
But now we got our A.M.C section, and yeah. So we are at the A.M.C section, right? And so, like, bring it back a little. We've covered a lot of albums, movies, and comics. What are some album, movies, and comics we covered?
Well, last episode we covered a movie. We've mentioned it already in the episode. But we covered Blade Runner.
Yes, we did.
The episode before that, we covered an album.
Reggie Snow, right? Reggie Snow's Dear Annie. Yep. We've covered Mac Miller's I Love Life, Thank You.
Yep.
We've covered Prince Daddy and the Hyena, Cosmic Thrill Seekers. That was the first one we did, right?
Yeah, that was our first episode.
That's so crazy. Like, you referenced the 3rd episode and I referenced that one, and it doesn't seem like it was that long ago. I mean, it seems like forever ago, but it's actually very close. And what other movies we've covered?
Other movies we've covered: Fight Club,
Burn After
Reading,
Reading,
History X,
Green Room.
American
History X was an interesting episode. Comics we covered: All-Star Superman, Spider-Man. Was it Spider-Man?
Life Story,
Batman,
Deadpool, Court of Owls,
Deadpool, Dead Presidents, and this, we got a mixture of that. So if any of that interests you, please listen, because then we'll keep making more of these. But if you don't listen, we'll keep making more.
And
of these.
even if you don't read comics,
oh yeah,
I really hope that this show has been a great introduction to you into the world of comics. I hope that this makes you want to go out and buy a comic and check it out.
Absolutely. And man, just being, and Javi being the, big comic enthusiast, even before I met him, I've read so much comics that I'm grateful of now that even I catch I told him right now I'm reading V for Vendetta. And I'm fucking in love with that shit. But he taught me about like Alan Moore and how he doesn't like his remakes into the movie and stuff like that. And what did we read about Alan Moore? Did we read anything or nah? Not yet, right? Well, you gifted me Watchmen, which I'm excited to read. It's an encyclopedia thing. But even my favorite comic book to this day is still Mr. Miracle. And I'm fucking hyped that I got to go through all these things. All-Star Superman was crazy. The Sandman is still fucking goated.
Yeah.
Like, you can't go wrong. And then we talk about Harvey Picard. And I actually, the next 2 comic sections, I have 2 comic books that like, one is a comic book. And if that makes any sense, and one is like an actual comic, and you're not gonna believe what they are. Like the Harvey Picard one was my so far my one that I think that I caught you off guard the most.
Oh yeah.
But I think with the next two coming up, you're not even gonna believe. You're not gonna believe who made these comics. Trust me. You want to guess?
Looking at Garfield.
Nah, I'm telling you, it's something you wouldn't. It's something that you're gonna be like, get the fuck out of here. No way. Trust me, it's gonna be real interesting. Right. So stay tuned. But yeah, I mean, for one thing, I'll say like I never picked. I mean, I used to draw little comic books when I was a kid. Like I used to want my comic book to be in newspapers, but the funnies, you know, I just want to write funny stuff, and now I get to read them all the time. And it's like, what the fuck? How much like that's so much fun to do, you know? And then movies and albums that I would never have come across otherwise, or like watched in such a short time span. I think it's real cool, man. So. Aside from like, you know, me being great for the show and Javi like being able to, you know, both of us having fun and this and that, like hopefully you as a listener can just shut the fuck up and listen, bro, and enjoy.
Get on the fucking ride.
And just enjoy. And hopefully one of the cool things that again, or Patrick with the Y.
Yeah.
I remember he was telling me, he was messaging me and I always thank him for listening to the podcast because he does keep up. And I always say like, thank you for listening. Like that really does support us and like for actually enjoying it, not just doing it as a favor and stuff. And he was like, nah, man, like I appreciate the podcast. And he's like, I even listened to Dear Annie because of the episode. And he's like, I fucking love that album. And you know, that shit was like, you know, I was like, you know, I was just super happy about that. Cause I really fucking, even during the episode, you saw me singing that shit, just happy about it. And for like, just for somebody else to be exposed to it, I think it's really dope. Not only for the artist, but for the listener and just like, overall the community, you know. So I think that's real fucking cool. And if you haven't listened to Reggie Snow's Dear Annie, and Glow On by Turnstile was amazing. And we ended up even seeing them in concert. And TLC, was it TLC? That song I always use to find my earphones. Like whenever my earphone, like my wireless one falls to the crevice.
Really?
Yeah, I put that song on TLC, and then I'm like, oh, it's right there. But great fucking album. I think it's one of the best albums I heard last year for sure.
Nice.
Like in terms of like, and that's like punk rock that I've never even been exposed to, and I share that music with other people. So, but today, we are talking about. What are we talking about? You tell people.
All right. I'll tell
you. You have the book. My book is at home.
So we're looking at a pretty cool comic. Frankie gifted this to me as a birthday present.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. But I saw when this first came out, I was like, this looks pretty dope. I really want to read this, and I'm glad that you gifted it to me. And it is genuinely one of the best reads I've had in a while.
Nice, man. That's fucking awesome to hear.
I was like reading this and I was just like, this is just so much fun. I'm loving this. I'm loving every page. Like I really took my time with it because it is a short read.
Yeah, it goes by because the pages are so huge, you know?
Yeah, but the art is just everything.
It's first of all, the book is about like the size of from your like neck to your like stomach. Like I guess most people, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Just imagine a comic book, but a little bit taller and just a little bit wider.
Yeah, that's a better way to put it. And I think this is a real interesting read because first of all, we haven't read anything Fantastic Four yet, so I think that's really cool.
Yeah,
that's
Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four, man. Oh, about that.
But
not that we're reading Fantastic.
I'll throw it at the camera.
Yeah, right
We're
there.
looking at Fantastic Four Full Circle
by Alex Ross. Yeah, man. And because it's a short read, I thought the same thing. One thing I wanted to include that, first of all, speaking on it doesn't do the art justice. Like if you really like Google the image if you want, but buy the book, obviously, if you want to, support the, author and the writer and like with letterer and stuff like that. I was thinking earlier for this conversation, what if AI created comic books, but also like AI can create so much, but when you look at a book like this, that's when you realize artists can do so much too. Because there's so much in every like page, so much detail and stuff like that, where it's amazing.
I mean, even to that, like just how you recanted my sentiment of like get better.
Yeah.
It's like Alex Ross.
Yeah, that's like the epitome of getting better, man.
Alex Ross is get good.
Yeah, it's so incredible. So I really encourage everybody to pick up this book and just, again, it's short read, so it's not like a whole huge volume. Pretty cheap too, I'm not mistaken, but I had to really find this book because it sold out so fast. And when I went, and when I found it on shelves again, I ran to the comic book store and I was like, yo, bro, please. And shout out to Everyone Comics for selling to me when they were closed.
I mean, like a book like this.
Not everyone.
Like
Action
Alex
City Comics. Sorry, Action City Comics. Shout out to Everyone Comics and books too.
But a book like this, I'm not surprised it sold out right away. I mean, it's Alex Ross.
Yeah,
like
man.
for people who don't know who Alex Ross is,
I don't know who Alex Ross is. So this is why I wanted you to, nice.
He's one of the greatest like comic book artists of the modern day.
Really?
Like people like at Comic Cons, he has a whole not even a table. He has a whole booth.
That's crazy.
On the show floor dedicated to his art.
That's crazy.
His art is so expensive.
Really?
Like he's considered like a legitimate artist. Like not even like a comic book artist,
like
but just
like a Picasso type shit. You know what I mean?
Like
that's crazy.
His art is phenomenal.
And it really is, bro. What other works has he done?
In most recent years, over the last like couple decades, he's primarily done covers for Marvel. He's contracted with Marvel, so he does the covers to a lot of main titles like Black Panther, the Hulk, Iron Man. He does like the covers to those issues, but when he's done stories like this, recently he did a short story in a Hulk comic where he wrote and drew it as well.
Nice.
It was almost a silent story, meaning that there were almost no words in it, so the art tells basically the whole story. But that was a really good story. But something that he's really well known for is Kingdom Come. Which is written by Mark Waid, who is another great in the comics world. Mark Waid wrote it. Alex Ross drew it.
And so it's like a collaboration of like two legends. It's like Robert De Niro and Martin Scorsese type shit. Yeah. Wow.
They did Kingdom Come. That's a DC story. I have had the chance. I haven't had the chance. I just need to emphasize how like important that book is to comic history, and just I haven't read it yet.
We got to cover in the podcast then, so definitely got to do that.
Kingdom Come is like considered one of the best comic books of all time.
That's fucking really. That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's
it's
crazy.
Considered that great, and so I haven't read it yet. But Alex Ross has been considered one of the greats for a very long time.
That's awesome. But one of the things I went going into this A.M.C section, like I said, I mentioned to you earlier. I remember I texted you like, let me know when you get to this part of the book. You never let me know. No,
I'm completely misinterpreted.
So what I did is I was able to, because it is short, but honestly speaking, if this book was like 300 pages long, Alex Ross would have to work so hard. It's such a big book with a lot of imagery. I'm sure he would do it, but it's just you get the small amount, but you get so much within it. Like quantity over quality. And what I did
quality
is
over
quantity. There we go. It's late. And I broke up the story into 4 sections. And I think what I wanted to emphasize is being able to explain to the reader the story without like, walking them step by step. Not that because it's so short, but also I figured your knowledge on the comic book artist and the thing was already so expansive that I didn't really have to do that much research, to be fair. I did research on who the Fantastic Four is and stuff like that. What I do have is that the Fantastic Four, consists of Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, Human Torch, and a Thing. Their first appearance was in Fantastic Four #1, which is in November 1961. It was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Jack Kirby created Mr. Miracle, or am I bugging?
He created the New Gods of DC.
Gods,
so
okay.
he in hand created Mr. Miracle.
The what's it called? Identity Crisis, what I'm reading right now. It has so much. I mean, I'll just spoil a little. No, I don't want to spoil. You haven't started, right?
I haven't started yet.
I won't start it. Don't say nothing. My bad. I thought you were reading it already, but there's a lot of cool things about it where you might get the gist of what I'm saying, but you won't. This is such a strange story, man. It's so cool. And then I wrote. Not wrote here. I gotta share off a website. Did you know the Fantastic Four are often considered the first superhero family in comics?
Yeah,
I didn't know. See, I know you.
They're the first Marvel family.
That's dope.
Yeah.
And then I'm just gonna read a little history, just because I know you know your shit. But for the people at home, I got you, bro. Let me act like I did some shit. And this is just off the article. I'm gonna give you the actual. I guess I'm not. Oh no. I guess I'm not. I didn't write down. Sorry, whoever I'm stealing your work.
Damn. AI over here.
I mean, I'm just learning as if you teach it. Before the Justice League of America and the Avengers, there was the Fantastic Four. Not only are they considered one of, if not the first team in comics, they are also considered the first family. The origin story illustrates Reed Richards and his never-ending desire to create and send a rocket to the furthest depths of space. Unfortunately, at the conclusion of his creation, the government unnecessarily cut his funding. Sadly, his argument about its now completion went on deaf ears, and his dream was cut short. Unwilling to let this setback defeat him, Reed decided to move up what was supposed to be the launch date. He did so as to send his rocket into space before the government's decision could be announced to the world. It's pretty short. His time was limited, so he immediately put together a team of individuals to accompany him on the quest. Without giving it too much thought, he sent out an invite to his former college roommate turned test pilot, Ben Grimm, his girlfriend, Susan Storm, Batty, and her brother, Johnny Storm. Before he could get his rocket launched, and that's what I said in the morning when I was hard day. Before he could get his rocket launched, Reed incurred another setback. Concerned over the potential of cosmic rays, his flight was canceled by the spaceport. Reed and his team, not wavered by the setback, snuck into the facility and prepared for launch. As the quartet pushed into the depths of space, their ship was as feared, bombarded by cosmic rays. The rays broke through the metal of the ship and forced the team back to Earth. Lastly, after landing, the four quickly realized that the rays had changed them and they now possess powers and didn't have before. I figured this got away right than I would have put it, and I actually didn't know that. I know in the preface, like in the book and stuff, it pretty much details all that.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so when I read that and I read this, I was like, I finally understand how they became the Fantastic Four. Even though I seen the movie, that's why I said Batty, because Jessica Alba was beautiful. And
also, even from the movie, like
I just kind of got that they could stretch. And one thing I will say that I learned from a certain comic is Elasticity Man, right? Or Elastic Man?
Plastic Man.
No, isn't it Elastic Man or something like that from DC?
Plastic Man.
It's Plastic Man? Oh, yeah. I thought it was Elastic. Well, I learned about him, and that's all I'll say.
Plastic Man is pretty fun. But he also has some controversy because there have been some writers and stuff that like make him a bit of a pervert.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, where like he's literally turned himself into like women's clothing and stuff so that women can put him on.
That's kind of funny.
Shit like that. So like he's got some controversy behind him. Plastic Man is pretty fun.
He's like Mr. Krabs, the Panty Raid. You remember that episode?
Yeah.
You know that episode's banned now?
Panty. It's
banned now, yeah. Isn't that crazy? Like you know those little TikToks or like short videos on YouTube where they're like, oh, you know, have you heard about the banned episode from so and so? That episode's banned now.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? And this is mom underwear and stuff, and
damn.
Shame on you motherfuckers for, you know who you are. Hopefully not our listeners, but even if you are, keep listening and rate the show and subscribe. So I didn't write that, but I broke the story down into 3 parts, and I figured anything we come across we can talk about. I don't have my book, so like you can look through it as I talk about. But the first part, you'll know to look through. So you can kind of look through it as I like sum up the first section of the book.
Gotcha.
Right? So you ready?
Yeah.
All right. So the story begins. The Fantastic Four begin their journey after a familiar-looking person last seen in the negative zone bypasses security of their home and is seen by the Thing. Upon inspection, the Thing recognizes the guy from the time he was trapped and put under a machine that would make the Mystery Man physically identical to the Thing. That same day, the Thing wasn't feeling too good to begin with. Mr. Fantastic recognized the Mystery Man from his first ever journey through subspace into the negative zone. They were both afloat into an atmosphere that would have caused them both to perish. But the Mystery Man flung Mr. Fantastic to safety. Quote, I owe him my life, end quote, is what Mr. Fantastic said as he looked down on the Mystery Man who lay on the table covered in an unknown stringy substance. So I think that's a good sum up of the first section. Basically, the Thing's making a sandwich and they see some motherfucker in the corner, and then he just kind of like ends up on the table.
Yeah.
Covered in this like weird stringy substance, all black. He's not really responding. And the Fantastic Four kind of all come up to him and trying to inspect him.
Yeah, and then he opens his mouth and all the black stuff comes out,
shouting crazy.
For reparations.
And they're like, oh, what the fuck? So right here I have all of a sudden black parasite looking creatures start pouring out of the Mystery Man's mouth by a dozen. The Fantastic Four work together and fast to subdue each creature. Invisible Woman, by trapping many of them in force fields, Human Torch attracts the creatures into the fire that burns them, but they keep on spewing out of the mouth of the Mystery Man. The self-defense weapons within the fireproof house annihilate the rest of these flying alien-type monsters. Quickly after, the decision is made to return to their negative zone to find the trace of this creature so it can cause havoc no longer. Invisible Woman designs suits made with vibranium woven with her own unstable molecule materials. Everyone gets cool suits, but the Thing only gets shorts. And the initial theory is that the negative zone tyrant, Annihilus, is behind all of this, given his control over the whole of his universe, but upon arrival, they seem to have been mistaken.
And I'll just say that Two things. I thought it was funny when the stranger first shows up in the building and Reed comes out and he's kind of like putting on his shirt.
Yeah.
And Sue is like, "What's going on?" But she's invisible.
And he's like, "Oh,
and they're
come
like,
on,
why
bro."
are you naked? God damn.
Yeah, it's just like, first of all, how the fuck you seen them? But how can they see them? Do you know how? Or
they can't see that she's invisible.
Oh, but she's naked because they can't see her, right?
Yeah, the fact that she's talking.
Look at that! I just got it. First of all, shout out to that scene in Fantastic Four with Jessica Alba's in a bra or whatever, shit like that.
Dude, they completely
on
just
purpose
did that scene just to get Jessica Alba in her underwear.
Absolutely,
it's so stupid because literally 2 seconds later,
yeah,
Reed and Johnny just run around them, run around the whole crowd. 2 seconds later, and it's like, congrats, you fucking did it! Way to go, Fox! You got Jessica Alba.
You
naked.
had to get it in there. Sex sells. I thought it was very funny that when they got the cool suits to go to their negative zone, that the thing only got shorts. I thought that shit was dumb hilarious.
Yeah, the second thing I was gonna say is that it's actually Reed that made these suits, not Sue.
I thought Sue had made them. Okay,
yeah, no, it's Reed that made these suits,
gotcha.
and it's funny that Ben gets the shorts because he's always worn shorts.
Yeah, no matter
like,
what and everything, right?
Yeah, like that. That's just kind of his look.
The little
that's his
thing.
style.
And they all have their certain style of speaking too. Like the thing, it's Ben, right? Ben is a thing.
Yeah, Ben Grimm was born and raised in Brooklyn,
so he's more comedic.
So
more
he's got like a Brooklyn sort of accent and stuff. You had to imagine what that would sound like when you're reading his dialogue. And
I think he was played good in the movie. I think if I'm mistaken, it's like you know who played him.
Douglas Chickus, something like that.
He did a good job. I think Hellboy. Did you ever watch that movie?
The Guillermo del Toro one. I saw it like when it first came out. So I don't remember. I don't remember too much from it. Yeah. I saw the reboot with David Harbour. That movie was garbage.
Really?
So bad. That movie was written by like a 14-year-old boy drinking fucking G Fuel and playing Call of Duty at 3 a.m.
Really? It was that bad?
That movie was so bad.
Where is Hellboy from?
He's from Dark Horse Comics. He's his own thing. He's created by Mike Mignola.
I didn't know that. Well, okay, so we get to half the story, and this is literally halfway into the story. But to backtrack, the artwork is incredible. Like they're so like I remember you taught me when like comic uses the whole 2 pages as a splash page, right? Mm-hmm. And this
2 pages is a spread,
and one page is a splash. And this whole book is like its own disorganized fashion because it doesn't split into like direct straight lines or cross patterns. Like there's like sideway crossroads. There's like 3/4 of the book used for one thing, but it all flows so well, and its entirety is used. Like there's no outline of the pages. The only lines you see in between the things are barely. They're also a part of the environment.
Yeah, like even spreads like this are just so incredible. Where it's
impossible to describe it. Like, I mean, we could really if you wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like all you can really say is that the panel work and the panel composition is just incredible.
It's phenomenal.
It's just even to new readers, this is an easy book to follow.
And I even say to kids, like probably like little kids and stuff like that, because their attention span is still like, oh wow, pretty. You know what I mean? Like,
look at the colors.
Yeah, wow. It's
wow.
It's so deep, the duality of man, that it's crazy that oh look, it's pink. Shit like that. And that page in particular, it's actually black and white with a little bit of color. That reminds me of Love and Thunder with the black and white scene on the outer planet. Yeah, and you can only see a little bit of color and shit like that. The hues of different colors.
That was a cool scene.
Yeah, it was a really cool scene, bro. Fucking movie had potential. It wasn't bad. Just a little too much Guns N' Roses for me. Anyway. But yeah, we get to those points, and again, like it's hard. It's really hard to depict the art through the just speaking. But honestly, the story is really interesting as well.
What I'll say about the art too is that, like, for myself, knowing Alex Ross's art, this is the first time where I'm reading a story where he does all of the interiors, and interior is just meaning like the inside of a book.
Gotcha.
That's like what.
Like the whole book in its entirety, right? Like from the cover to the inside to the back cover, right?
Well, not even that. Just like the interiors, meaning like the inside, like the actual pages.
Gotcha.
So like excluding the cover and stuff like that, like they did the inside of it, the actual pages. So this is the first time where I'm reading an Alex Ross comic where he's on the interiors of a comic, and it's a little different from his usual art.
Yeah.
Where his usual art on his covers and stuff, they look more painted. They look more hand drawn and stuff.
This one looks more like graphically done, right?
Yeah, like there are a lot of halftones, and halftones are those little dots.
Gotcha.
Like you know how comics have those little dots and stuff.
Yeah.
That's what those are, halftones.
Why was that in comics? I know you're talking about, and to be a little more descriptive to other people that don't know what we're talking about, it's like, you know, when you read a comic or they depict comics and cartoons, and everybody is drawn in the same style, whatever, but there's little dots between all their, like, it's like Chowder. You ever seen Chowder?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
There's dots everywhere in the back tones of the actual character.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to describe it to you people, so whatever.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
It's just in comics, that's just referred to as halftones.
Halftones, okay.
And so Alex Ross uses an explicit amount of halftones in this book. Like, a majority of the art here is covered in halftones.
What's the purpose of halftones?
I think what he did with this, if I remember correctly from reading the back of the story, is that this story is sort of like a retelling of an older Stan Lee Jack Kirby comic. And so I think for that reason of adding these halftones, it creates a more classic look.
With a modern twist.
Yeah, and so having that classic look makes it feel more like of a classic comic book.
Gotcha.
Oh my god.
We almost
Dinner
done.
time for Lane.
We almost done.
But yeah, it's just I think like this felt like such a classic comic book story where it's like an adventure in the negative zone.
Yeah, we have to go
get out and all that stuff. It's very like classic in terms of comic book stories. And so I think bringing in those halftones really brought that vibe of like, this is like a Stan Lee, Jack Kirby comic to pick up.
Got you.
But yeah.
And then we move on. That's pretty dope. I mean, that's good. Again, for me, it's like looking at the comic without the lens that you have. I mean, for me, it really is kind of like how I refer to the kid looking at, like, oh, look at the pretty colors and stuff. But I like that you appreciate the story, because to me the story started off pretty kind of basic. You know, it was like, oh, okay, this and that. But then when you get to the negative zone, it's like, wait, okay, this is a little different. And then when we get to I'll read right now the third part, but Richard Reed's take on space and wanting to expand research on it is real interesting, because his reasoning is so justifiable, you know? Again, and then I won't skip over it and spoil it, but at the end, that's what I want to read, like the last 2 pages, because he says some, like, almost like what I thought when I saw Ant-Man. You were like, I don't know how the fuck you got that, but this is what, like, I was like, whoa. So I'll read the third, like, part. When the 4 arrive in the negative zone, they land in a tunnel where a nihilist is feeding, and he's huge and hungry. Yet the reader, which detects the energy source they are seeking, is moving away from the annihilus, and upon further inspection leads to an unknown enemy whose desire is to use the 4 as an entryway to Earth. I might be wrong about this, you can correct me. And wreck it through the negative energy. The foe is later discovered to be Janus, a former colleague of Richard Reeves that perished in their mission to subspace. This enemy is made up of pure negative energy and is referred to as Negaman. It believes it's alive in Janus. But Mr. Fantastic views the foe as a shell of who Janus once was, due to its use of anyone left to die in space, only to be consumed by Negaman. Such as the mystery man who appeared in the beginning of the story. They make their momentary escape from Negaman and find themselves near an anti-Earth, which is constantly shielding itself from incoming asteroids using some type of energy source.
I'll just before we continue further, I really love that section where they meet Janus and they escape Janus, and they're getting out of there. Reed's like, we got to get out of here. And Ben asks him, Reed, why are we in such a hurry to clear out of here? Yeah. And Reed tells him, because, Ben, there's no reason to start a war with a nihilist today. Yeah. It's enough to know we have a new or old adversary to contend with. I just love that so much. Nice. Just because, like, that's just such a thing of, like, Reed is just so much of a realist where he's
just Bob's gonna do that, bro.
He's like, listen, like, it's enough to know that we have another problem to deal with right now.
We don't fuck the reader. We're not making more story for these motherfuckers. You know,
it's just such a, like, a thing where it's like, it works almost like double edged, where it's like for the reader of like, oh man, like I would love to see what's gonna happen with Janice and the Fantastic Four, and it just leaves that sort of like seed of idea of like what could ever happen
in the future if they were to come back, or if she was infiltrate or something like that.
And that's such a classic comic thing to do, which is why I referred to that again. But then it also works in the sense of just like of a plot element and just of a character element of that's who Reed is. He's just like, listen, like the best that we can do right now is accept
get out of here.
That listen, we got another problem to deal with, but that's for another day.
Yeah. That's pretty incredible, man. And I never thought about it that way, to be honest. And but I within a little bit of that, I really think it's cool how they were like, we don't need to have this war right now. I think later in the book they say, because I don't read the fourth part. The last thing I'll say for the sum up is Mr. Fantastic has only seen this once through the Dimensions interface. He is eager to investigate, and everyone else thinks he's bugging the fuck out for that. And not the Annihilus or Janice, but the anti-Earth, you know? But I think towards the end of the book they mentioned how like we're not gonna like fight Janice, or not really say that, and then it comes down to like the possibility that they exist is something to like contemplate. I don't know, it's a whole mixture of things. And that's why with the end of the book I kind of want to get into the end of the book mostly, because they basically escape Annihilus and Janice. They get to the anti-Earth, right? And then what's their method of getting to the anti-Earth? Because now you got to walk us through the end of the book.
So they're looking down and they're like, check it out, it's the anti-Earth. And they find out Reed, after observing the Earth, realizes that it has a sort of force field around it. So
kind of like their suits.
Similar to their suits. So he establishes the idea that they can sort of crash land onto the planet by penetrating the force field with their suits. So they all get into a force field bubble with Sue, and they just go down to the planet. And upon getting to the planet, they kind of trap the Human Torch in a ray. Yeah. And Ben is real quick to try and attack them. But Sue is quick to be diplomatic to try and stop anyone from fighting. Yeah. And blocks everyone off of force fields until finally one of them speaks English. Yeah. Because up until this point, all of them are just speaking a different language.
And they're like, what the fuck?
And the one speaking English is in this big blue suit, and he reveals himself to be the guy from the beginning of the story.
The mystery man.
The mystery man. But he is alive and well.
Just chilling in a big ass suit.
And he basically explains that he's been trapped here ever since
the crash landing.
That crash landing then into the negative zone, and that these people have basically taken him in, put him in this suit that keeps him alive, and he can't get out of that suit.
Within this utopia world, like a better Earth almost. Like a scientifically advanced Earth.
It's a super scientific advanced Earth. They've done a lot of shit, and they've learned to keep themselves alive in the negative zone.
Come think about it, it's pretty similar to Ant-Man. To some extent, it's pretty similar to Ant-Man. Now that I kind of look at it and everything, he's MODOK. Just a better MODOK. No spoilers.
But so pretty much he tells Ben too, which is a pretty important part, that like he has his life to owe to Ben, because if he didn't try to pretend to be like him, he wouldn't be in this situation right now. Yeah. Which is just sort of a super glass half full type of mentality to have about all this,
because he looks like Ben. He lost his like regular life on Earth and stuff like that, but he's living somewhere else, and he really enjoys it. He loves the anti-Earth.
And so pretty much he learns that we learn that he's basically sort of been joined into a team onto this anti-Earth.
Yeah, it's like a lion man or some shit like that.
There's like a lion, a furry. And so they're all just like, yo, man, good for you. Yeah. And like, holy shit.
And here's a suit out of my suit. Mr.
Mr. Fantastic's like, yo, I got you. He stretches out his suit, and the Human Torch uses his powers to seam it and cut
I thought he stretched his skin and cut a piece of himself to make a skin suit for it. I was just like, damn, bro, like you don't want to help him that bad. But he stretched his suit, and then it said because of the molecules constantly in it, they'll repair itself and everything. That shit was mad funny to me at first. Like, damn, that shit must have hurt, bro.
But they basically give a part of the suit to this dude so that he can wear it, so that he no longer has to be in that
big ass suit,
blue metal suit to live anymore.
Yeah, he's like, thanks, man. He's like, you're welcome. And he's like, you don't want to come back with us? And he's like, nah,
I'm
like
happy
it here. Yeah, he's like, I owe it to them to be here, and I actually like it here.
And I just like the page where one of his boys is like, "Thank you for the gift to my friend."
Oh,
friend.
nice. Oh, dope.
And like you just see the two of them like shake hands, and Ben's just like, "No explosions."
It's almost like something should have happened, but we kind of really jumped through past everything, and hopefully there's more in the future for it. But this is a great way to like represent a whole world in so little time.
It's just like the way that this story, like the pacing of it is so well done, where it's just like you don't feel like anything is rushed. You get enough of everything.
I agree.
Of every scene that by the end of it, you're just kind of like, damn.
Yeah, man.
All right.
That was a quick.
All right.
So I just went through 3 different worlds, and now I'm back into my own world and with a whole different philosophy, because it gets crazy at the end.
But yeah, they basically help them get back to Earth through some sort of Wizard of Oz type technology.
You gotta think about where you're going, and they end up.
Even Ben bracelets. Says it. Yeah, he says, "All right, everybody, click your heels together and think of home." And they get home, and fucking they say hi to their kids and stuff like that. And they all go to sleep, and then they wake up the next morning. And
this is where it gets. This you should read. This is where it gets like the philosophical almost, right? Or like
who do you want to be?
You be Reed Richards. I'll be Ben. Is it Ben?
Yeah,
I'll be Ben. Let's
all right. I don't know if you can see from here.
I'll bring the mic over here. All right, this page.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll be like, so what are you doing up? Let me just memorize it. Okay, go.
So I could ask you the same thing, old friend.
Finishing the meal I started before the things went all kablooey. And then I say, so what's on your mind, Stretch?
I've been going over the events of our journey, and I feel puzzled. I think we came across some universal truths during our time reaching 2 dimensions. The invading life forces were composed of negative energy, carried in a body from our positive universe. While one was seemingly harmless, the other was malevolent. While states of good and evil are not quantified by science normally, I think the nature of our opposite dimension, the negative zone, is psychoreactive. And it continues.
All right. Psycho what?
I call it psychoreactive because I think it's a distorted mirror of life here, where it is a literal manifestation of our darkest fears and imaginings. Just as the subspace distortion area transmits alien images to our brains, I believe the phantom-like nightmares which take physical form there, like Janice's death left behind, exist because we imagine them to. Even a nihilist may be a manifestation of our subconscious. For that one man, Ricardo, to still exist there and thrive, he had to bond with others who came to embody a positive energy to survive in a psychoactively negative environment. It makes you think about the whole nature of existence. I wonder what it all reveals about a guiding hand over our lives. Are we merely playthings to some greater forces?
We're home. We're safe. Can't you just be happy for once? And then the comic ends. And I don't know, man. Those last 2 pages do it for me, because you're like, damn, it must real suck to be Reed Richards sometimes. You know what I mean? Like he's just constantly thinking. But I think like that for me embodied like his whole character, because like that's the coolest way to look at things when you're really like that smart, you know, because like you're looking beyond, you know, and then you're contemplating reality and saying like, what is a figment of an imagination and what is reality? But maybe our imagination causes other realities that we're not a part of, that only exist when we get there. You know, like,
yeah.
And I was like, man, that's so fucking cool. And that's what wrapped up the story for me. So like cherry on top, but like deliciously, you know, that was real impressive. That writing is impressive, and that mindset to like involve at the end of the story is a real, like you said, a little bit of everything. That was like the perfect last piece of everything to like make it a whole story. Because then you're like, huh. You know?
Yeah, I mean, like, even as I was reaching the end of this, like, I can feel the pages. I feel the end is coming, and I'm like, yo, how the fuck is this gonna end?
And it does such a good job, and not for nothing, like the outer cover of the book is like one of those old books where it has like an outer, like what would you call that? Like the plastic around the book.
I don't know what it's called. I feel like I should know that, but I don't.
It's like when you get a book and it has a cover you can take away.
It's like the sleeve.
Yeah, and even the cover by itself is like a blue hard book with like a 4 in the middle, like the suits. And I thought that even down to the T, that was a crazy nice detail, onto it too and everything. But yeah, but back to the ending. I thought that was a tremendous ending. And luckily, we picked this book because I picked this book only because like we have another comic to cover, and we're getting down to like comics that are very long, and we want to do it justice. Like we want to get these comics that are, have, and not to put this down at all. Like this is a great gem, honestly speaking. But in the time we had to read this book, I think it's very readable, and if you want to do yourself justice, go get this book. It's called Fantastic Four Full Circle by Alex Ross. Like, do yourself some justice and get this fucking comic book, man, because it's so good. Makes a great gift. You know what I mean? And I really recommend it to anybody.
I would agree.
I think that's correct. And yeah, one day we'll be covering Watchmen. We'll have that book here, and that'll be a long episode. But nah, I really don't want to say, man, this was honestly something I didn't know what to expect, and because it was so short, but man, like seeing you have it now and just like reading it only once like that, you can always refer back to, and definitely if you want to get high, or even I can imagine on psychedelics how this book would look.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I can imagine.
I was already thinking about
whoa.
that. The colors, man.
Whoa, read, chill out, bro. Why does Ben look normal? Everybody looks weird. Nah, man. I mean, yeah. Like, I think this is a perfect wrap up also to the AI conversation, because I'm sure AI can create something similar, but having a human do that is way more cherishable. Because this is some crazy fucking skill right there, bro. Mad skills with the Z.
2 Z's.
2 Z's. 3 Z's. That's it. Only 3 Z's. 4 Z's a little crazy.
Okay.
Too much Z's. That's almost sleeping, bro. Why are Z's associated with sleeping when like draw in books?
I don't know. I've like thought about it before.
That's
it's like
you
don't go zzz.
Imagine you did, that'd be scary as fuck, bro. Fucking yeah, but yeah, man. I hope you're listening right now. I hope you're enjoying a nice bowl of ambrosia.
I hope that you're at the front lines protesting for your country.
For your country, and especially if you're North Korean. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
You know what I mean? And yeah, and no matter if you're North Korean or Ukrainian or wherever like Uncut Gems based their movie off of,
go take a shit in the ocean.
Get this book to accompany you with, and treasure it like it's your last, because it's a good fucking book, and I'm happy, a good comic book to put it better. And yeah, man, and before we we got our Instagram, Earth Mind Matter Pod.
Oh yeah.
TikTok, Earth Mind Matter Pod. YouTube, Earth Mind Matter. True Social, Earth Mind Matter Pod.
Mastodon,
Earth Mind Matter Pod. And we got Link here who about to go feast, right, Link?
I think he feasted already.
He feasted already?
Yeah.
Oh, he don't give a fuck, bro.
Hey, you don't give a fuck. He chilling,
bro. But yeah, donate to Haiti. That's my new outro.
Okay. Here's my new outro.
Yeah.
You ready for it?
Yeah.
Shake that ass. Hey!